weird stuff happens, and you'll find these are mutants that you're like, what the fuck happened? You know what I mean? Everything else looks great except for these ones. And so yeah, now I'm ready, guys. Let's do this. Fucking high as fuck. Got my cup of coffee. I'm ready to go.
Super stoked, man. I'm glad you came on the show. Sounds right up fucking alley, man. That been looking to hear from.
Yeah, bro.
Hear about all the people doing these interbreeding, intersex breeding, and all this other stuff or whatever. You know what I mean? And muddying up the gene pool. So it's good to hear people trying to kind of clean it up a little bit.
For sure, bro. Let's do this. That's a great conversation topic, actually.
I think this is a great conversation, actually, that a lot of us have talked about from our crew about how genetics puddle seems to be getting muddied over the years, and how there are a bunch of us have mentioned how we would like to go back and check out some of these old school strains and start breeding with them. Another guy and I even started the Landrace hybrid club on Cannabis, just specifically for this reason. So people with older strains, not Landrace specifically, but kind of we're looking to get back in that direction. And, if you've got these beans to share and you want to share them with someone else, then you can go do that. But with that, it's Sunday morning. It's episode 71 of the Caribou Heart TV show, Sunday Morning Wake and Bake. And we've got a very, very special guest. We get to do some breeder talk today. We've got Old School Chronic out of Cali in the house. How the hell you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me. Super good. I'm doing awesome.
I'm excited for this one, man. Finally, I get to have a little bit of breeder talk. I've talked with you before a little bit, and I fancy myself as a hobby breeder. So I'm hoping like how I can get some tips out of you. But with that, what are you smoking on today?
Oh man, honestly, I have a special day of smoking today because yesterday I had an opportunity. I was able to, the week before I met some special, super old school, 25-year-old grower who was one of the guys who actually grew some of the original strains in San Diego that were fucking super popular in the 90s, and he happens to have the classic, the actual 15-year-old OG Kush, the real all pine, no sweet. It's all pine, all gas, no sweet kind of stuff. And he harvested, and he invited me over for a trim yesterday. So I got to meet all the boys, dude, and all the bros. And I was like, dude, I'm meeting all the fucking old school heroes all the people I've heard about for fucking years and years and years. And I never got to meet. And finally I get to sit down and trim with them and smoke and break bread with them, dude. It was fucking pretty dope. And then it ended up having, taking home a couple ounces of some fucking serious fucking fire, the original OG Kush, and then so I'm smoking that right now with you guys. And then two, I brought some Hellraiser OG, which is all OG. It's all fire OG and Face Off OG. I mean, these are like super classic, all gas, all glue kind of stuff. Stuff you don't find anymore. And I think that's what one of the conversations we're probably going to end up having today is the stuff that we don't find anymore. Stuff we can't find anymore because it's just gone. It's all dominated by cookies now or some general smell or taste, But that's where I'm at, babe. That's where I'm at, brother. I'm smoking some OG Kush right now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I wish I was down there smoking with you right now. That sounds better than what I'm puffing on right now. And the other thing is,
thank you, brother.
We've all smoked OG Kush, or we've been told we're smoking OG Kush, and like you're going
right.
Bullshit. And I kind of wonder, have I ever actually tried OG Kush? In actuality, it's one of those games you just never know.
You know what? Fucking crazy you said that.
Is asking us to tell Old School Chronic that he says respect. He's looking for his earbud, so he can't do anything right now, but he said, tell Old School Chronic I said respect.
Oh, man. Same, bro. That's super felt, man. Thank you. Respect, man. And yeah, it's fucking pretty awesome, man. I'm blessed to be here, you guys. I'm honestly very happy you guys invited me. I'm super happy. So
we couldn't be happier to have you. Trust me. We're going to get right back to you here in a minute. First, we want to say hi to everyone else on the panel. So at
Absolutely.
that, I'm looking at the man who's coughing and gagging right now. DP, what's up, brother?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm super stoked to have Old School Chronic on the show this morning. I'm really excited to hear some breeding talk and hear about some of these older school strains that we all revere in our heart. Good to have somebody, bringing those back to the limelight as everything else is getting all muddied and stuff. So I'm super stoked to hear about that. Just took a fat dab and about to start coughing again. So, yep.
Right. Good enough. The man Drizzt, how you doing? You got some beautiful looking plants. I love seeing your weekly shots behind you. There's like definite progress every time.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I changed over to Nectar of the Gods from Fox Farms. I'll tell you what, it's night and day. You see like movement every single day now. It's really nice. I'm happy with it. And my autos love it too. But yeah, we're smoking on some shredder today, some of our own grown, and I put some wedding cake diamonds, live diamonds on the top. It's really nice, and I'm really happy. This sounds like a great show, and I'm anxious to hear what Old School Chronic has to say. So I'm going to kick it on down to the next one.
Sounds good. I don't, and nobody wants to talk and introduce themselves. They're like, stop talking to me. Just get to Old School. But we can't do that. That would be rude. Prophet, how the hell are you doing playing with your phone?
Diddling with my toy here. Doing pretty good,
Yeah.
man. Just smoking on some Headband 818 and interested in some new blood we got in the room with Old School Chronic here. So
Yeah.
that should be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a real good one. I'm excited. What are you puffing on this morning, Prof?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
The Headband 818.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm fucking
It's all good.
higher than I thought already.
It's all good. Can't you tell in my eyes, man? It's like right here. God, man. That's where I feel it.
All good. All right.
As our friend rolls over in his grave.
Yeah. Hypothetical gardener on location, it appears to be. How you doing, brother?
I am well. I am on location. I always love when we have a breeder guest. I love getting the perspective and just different views on things, seeing what everybody's working with and what different breeder goals are, and hoping I hear some strain descriptions. I always love I steal from others. I'll be honest. It inspires me, and it kind of gives me a different view on my own strains when I hear other people's strain descriptions, and kind of gives me a different perspective on my own stuff that I can either use or discard as needed. So I always love having a breeder on. Yeah, I'm on location today, so you'll see me occasionally sneak out to the car, and I'm puffing on some hash and gut that I'm mixing in with sour crinkle today.
It sounds really good. And last but certainly not least, we got Sweet Johnny sitting over there. Sweet Johnny, how you doing, brother? You're on mute, just in case you weren't sure of that already.
Good. I'm just over here. I've been neglecting these plants since I decided to close down my bedroom, threw them outside. So now I'm going to try to transplant some of them and save them and get them going outside somewhere. Maybe at Profits or something. I don't know. But I'm smoking on some of that Celia the Bad I grew from Humidor. It's not too bad, but I myself, I prefer a lot of the old school genetics. That's how I got kind of talking with Caribou Heart there. I told him I liked the old White Widow and Afghani strands. And next thing I know, he's like, I got all them mixed together. You're good. So I myself, I prefer the old school. To me, a name's a name, but to me, I think the weed was better back in the 80s. To me, somewhat. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. They're doing miracle work, but I prefer smoking on something from old school.
See, my thing is I don't have enough experience with old school because, like I said, I smoked weed all through high school, and I never really knew what I was smoking on. There's definitely some good stuff. And now, I do find a lot of stuff tastes the same. So when I hear about all these old legendary strains, it really piques my interest. I think that there's probably a place for everything. Like I like, let's face it, we all like to get good enough up in like the most extreme narcotic high you can possibly find out of cannabis at times. So there's definitely a place for breeding for intensity and whatnot, the way everything's getting muddied there. But at the same time, tastes, flavors, all that is a huge part of the high as well. And I think that's kind of where we're getting to, where we a lot of that stuff was bred out there. We've talked about theories recently on the show, how like stuff like CBD was probably more prominent in flower, say 30-40 years ago. But then being how cannabis was always such an underground culture due to prohibition and stuff like that, people aren't necessarily breeding for taste and terpene profiles. They're breeding for effect, and they want to shorten that flowering time. It makes sense, right? If you're fucking basically putting your freedom on the line for a plant, let's shorten it up. But now with all the knowledge and that's information that's coming out with this plant, and with the fact that it's starting to become legal in so many places, people can open up with their plant counts and they can have some of these long flowering stuff if that's what they choose to grow. And, you don't have to worry about consequences. And with that, I'm going to stop rambling like an idiot and we're going to get into Old School Chronic. So Old School Chronic, so a lot of people, they're unfamiliar with you that are watching. So let's go back to the beginning. And how'd you get your start with cannabis?
Wow, that's funny. I just grew up in the, gosh, I don't even know what year, it's either 80s or 90s, I guess, and but really was kind of the early 90s, and in the later 90s is when I started becoming like a young adult. But when I started, everything kind of started with just my homies, and they were all skaters. We were all skaters and rebels and bodyboarders and surfers. You know what I mean? That's what we just did. So we were just all we kind of just didn't do school very well, to be honest with you. I hate to say it. I just didn't grow up in the best neighborhood, didn't grow up with the best people in the world. But I mean, they were awesome people, but just not the best focused, most people. You know what I mean? We were focused on the shit that we wanted to focus on. So I guess we were focused. We just focused on not school, let's just say that. And so we just did our thing, and and then one time this guy asked me to come smoke some weed with him. It was his mom's weed or some shit like that. We couldn't have been like 13 years old. Those are the times when you realize, wow, dude, that's, what the hell is this? And then you don't even know what it is. So, and then you just start falling in love with it. You know what I mean? And that's it's been a whole lifelong process of falling in love with this plant. After that, I was obsessed with smoking, but really it started once I had neighbors that were growing it, and they showed me that we could grow our own weed. Oh my God. And then everything just shifted. I mean, back then we had High Times, that was like the coolest thing that was out. We had the bodyboarding magazines and surfer magazines, and then High Times. It was like, oh shit, we have High Times. So then you start checking out what the strain names were, because there were no strain names before. There were fucking Chronic. You got the Bomb. You got the Goods. You got the fucking, that's all you got. You got, oh, hey, bro, you got any of that fucking Fire? That good stuff? Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's really what the name was. So there was, and then finally Northern Lights came around, and people started calling. It was all over the fucking magazines, and then you start calling shit Northern Lights. So that's the Northern Lights shit. You know what I mean? Or the White Widow came out next, and I was like, and then the White Rhino came out after that, and then the fucking Great White Shark came right after that, and you were just like, dude, these fucking names are going nuts. Everybody's just going crazy because it's finally good-looking weed, not this BS bullshit that we used to get fucking from Mexico. And that's all it was. It was all Mexican fucking weed back in the day. It was a lot of Mexican, a lot of shit came in through oranges. They called it the orange weed, orange citrus stuff. And it actually did taste like orange and citrus after it absorbed the oranges and shit. And then they call it the gasoline weed because it came in the gasoline tanks, and it was just all that bullshit. So, it was just funny because the era was, trying so hard to get you weed. And finally, there was somehow, some way in the magazines it told you that you could find fucking cannabis seeds in Canada. Because Canada somehow was fucking legal, or something was going on in Canada. And so I'm about 15. I had it in 15 or 18. I can't remember it with the age because I don't even want to say it now. Let's just say I'm a little older now. And I'm 47. But let's just say, fuck, dude, that time I had to have gotten over the fucking border somehow. So I must have had been 18, I'm thinking at that time, because I've already gotten into it a little bit, probably done too much acid. Seriously, at that time, there was so much drugs available to kids. It's so much weird shit you shouldn't have been able to get. It's probably like that now, but I just haven't touched that shit now. But I'm just saying, back then it was all about LSD and weed, and it was just crazy, crazy ass fucking time. Surprised a lot of us fucking made it through because fuck, there's a lot of stuff like that happening. And then I took off to Canada, did a road trip, and we fucking literally went and I bought Big Bud seeds because somebody just mentioned, when you're a breeder, you think about certain things, right? Well, what were the breeders of the fucking 90s thinking? Well, I can't fucking grow. This is what I was thinking back then. I can't grow outside, or I can't grow big, so whatever I do grow, I gotta make sure it fucking is big because I have limited space. So I want big buds. I want fucking huge motherfucking buds. That's all I was thinking about. I don't care about THC at this point. There was no fucking THC. Nobody talked about THC. It was all about big buds. And then, even having weed, that's it. If you had weed and it was chronic and it was big bud, you wanted more of it because you had no space and you had fucking nowhere to grow it. And everything was fucking illegal as fucking hell. And then from there, it was just fucking. And then from there, guys, I'm giving you the background a little bit, but that's just where I come from, as my heart comes from this. And I honestly, I've got absorbed with selling it, being the guy, I guess, for the block. Everybody came to us to get weed, and we had the real shit, only proof, and it was just, there was like this. We had our garage set up. Fuck, dude, I swear to God, I don't know how my fucking parents, my mom, man, my poor mom, dude, I feel bad for her. We were like fucking all sitting in the garage, and the neighborhood kids would come over like a little place, come on the garage, and everybody we had the garage halfway open, and everybody would come under, and we'd be our little party spot inside with all the homies fucking smoking weed and drinking and doing other shit. And then honestly, it was just like we were the kids. That's where the fucking good weed was at. And then from there, I met people that had even better stuff. And I was like, oh my God, who are you? You're the master, dude. You're the fucking master guy in the 90s. You're the master guy in the 90s. That means that you have the fucking chocolate ties, the real shit that comes over with stamps and shit. Like the weed that you're getting. It's like, somebody, like you're connected kind of guys. Like you must know either fucking people that transport shit, or you must know Hells Angels people, or you must know those kind of personalities, because you're getting stuff that's imported, and I could see it, and I could see the packages he would have, and the fucking stuff that he would have, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy involved with? Like, that's crazy. So that's where the weed strain started becoming kind of interesting to me at that point, because now we had access to fucking some of the most beautiful, coolest fucking stuff that you could ever dream about, and nobody had a name for it. Some of it did have a name. Some of it came over chocolate ties, some of it Northern Lights, some of this, that, and that. But they really didn't have as many names as they do today. Really, now today we're just getting fucking crazy with names. But that's kind of the general gist of it, guys. And then things, I took a break and then for a little while off of it, and then I got reintroduced to cannabis again by my ex-girlfriend, to be honest with you. And then at that point we broke up, and I went and bought a house, and I fucking fell in love with it. Some of you guys know my house. You can see it online. And dude, this house is the most coolest place I've ever had to ever experience the cannabis experience. And it's just been from there a nonstop journey to find the best weed and to get it to people. Because I honestly, in my heart, I just feel like you're not going to find 90s weed anymore unless you know the hookup, unless you really do have like the genuine old school hookup. You'll never find White Rhino anymore, the real one probably. You're not going to find the real OGs anymore. You're going to find tainted weed that's been crossed by 15 different OGs, or this or that, or a breed, or a cross of this or a cross of that. You're not going to find your fucking real fucking headbands and the real fucking train wrecks and the fucking, I tasted real train wreck the other day. I was like, oh, so, and it was cool because I was able to go, oh, that's what train wreck is. and I could finally solidify in my mind all the hundreds of strains that I've smelled and tasted what a genuine artificial or not artificial, genuine fucking the genuine taste of it would actually, the official taste, not artificial, but official taste would actually taste like. And so I can now look at the texture of the leaf, have it imprinted in my mind, the smell. So now I can go back to it as a reference point. If I ever see something that's similar, I can go, oh, that must be from the train wreck line, or some sort of cross of train wreck or something. So I think people just don't have their strains down. One, because they've never witnessed the real strains. Two, there are not a lot of real strains out there anymore. Three, if you do find them, they're fucking hoarded and people fucking, they're kind of expensive. But due to that they're rare, and that's it, guys. I mean, that's kind of where I came from in my mission, I guess. If I give you that little piece, and then I'll let everybody just jump in and ask any questions, or we can get going with this. Is my mission is to do the best I can and be honest with whatever I can, give back to the community with. And if it's, and test it correctly, do the fucking job correctly, find the correct strains, do your best, because you can never know. Even the shit that I'm smoking that I think is 100%, who the fuck knows, exactly. Nobody had a actual, there's got to be the first, but again, who knows? But your goal is to get as close to it as damn possible, or to have some serious connections to be able to get to the authentic stuff and know it was verified. That's really the goal, and the goal is to get it into seed form and out to people so that people can enjoy it again and go, fuck, dude, I remember that, and have that, have some fucking times like we're having right now. So that's it, brother.
I think one of the other reasons for stuff like, say, old school White Widow, I know of a guy that's kind of within the grower circle here that apparently has a White Widow cut that's over 20 years old, and it is a legit White Widow cut. Now, to say go buy a pack of seeds from just any odd online seed vendor, I'm not gonna I think what happens is, so whatever the original White Widow is, when that was released, the crosses were released so people know what it is, right? And then you get people that oh, White Widow, that's fire or whatever. And then they try and recreate that cross because they'll take plant A, plant B, and C, and they'll mesh those together. The problem is, without those specific phenotypes, you can end up with something drastically different. And it's kind of almost, you see where I'm going with it, right? It's just, so everything goes from this one cut, so to speak, and then to just all of a sudden all these different crosses people are making with good intentions, right? They're like, hey, White Widow, very famous, very good strain. And people want to be able to try and do that and recreate that. But is that still legit White Widow though? Like we were talking about how earlier in the pre-show about how there's so much argument over strain identification. There's a lot of gray area in there, and there's I don't know where I stand on a lot of it. So when we get to that part of the conversation, it should be interesting.
Yeah. Yep. That's interesting. So that.
Dad bell.
Nice kazoo, man. Nice kazoo.
What was that?
Well, it's we usually have our producer guy Sam on the show that has this wooden frog thing that he plays for the dab frog, but he couldn't make it, so Drizzt shoves a kazoo up his ass and farts every time it's time for a dab. Takes one for the team. He's a hell of a guy.
You have to take the few during the show for the team. So.
You're a good man, Drizzt. We appreciate all you do for us.
Fucking committed, man. See, that's bro.
I'll take it from Caribou because he's the boss, but Prophet, go fuck yourself, okay?
2 more inches than I could.
That's good.
So I think you're starting to see how the show works a little bit there, eh? Old school. It's we don't take nothing too seriously around here. So I want to talk a little bit about cat piss. I know that's one of the strains that you're playing with. I got my hands on 3 cat piss seeds from a seed vendor last summer, and I started growing them out around Christmas time, and then I had a change in living situation and I had to shut down my shed, and unfortunately those 3 phenotypes just they're no more. So I kind of feel a little bit heartbroken I didn't get to see those through. So what can you tell me about the cat piss you're playing with?
You know, it's interesting. Cat piss is such a wow. It's a very broad. It's a much broader subject than you actually think, because you kind of think it's cat piss is a cat piss is a cat piss. You know, just like the cookies are the cookies and cookies. But the cat piss has history. It has so. Let's just start out with saying this. Cat piss isn't a strain. Cat piss is a phenotype of a strain, right? So you may find cat pisses in several different varieties of varietals of strains out there, right? So let's just say some people would say G13 is something that definitely I've heard of cat piss coming from. Indica, some very dark, heavy indicas from up north, Northern California. I think they call it the NorCal cat piss. We have from NorCal cat piss, Pittsburgh cat piss. They have the San Diego cat piss. Then we have the these are just some of the more famous ones that I know of right off the top of my head. And then there's there's mine, which is the Super Silver Haze cat piss, and technically, right? There's everybody wants to be first to the race. My genre, my history, where I come from, there was a guy in San Diego, T-Dog. He's the one who brought it to us as a community first. Now, there may have been another East Coast dude at the fucking exact same time, somehow duplicated the same fucking name and was running his own thing. Or maybe he forgot he had a butt. Who fucking knows how the name spreads like that and how people come up with that name cat piss. And I think personally, my opinion only, it came from San Diego. It came from a guy named T-Dog. He had his 90s cat piss, which was legendary. There was a lot of different strains at that time that were legendary. You know, his was one of them. And he was like a godfather down here for a while. And he still is in a lot of, right now he's just the OG, you know, he's still in the game actually and doing his thing. So, and he's fucking cool as fuck. So with that, now me, 20 years later, right? From the 90s, actually, fuck, is that 90s? Yeah, 20, fuck, that's 30 years later now. God damn, dude, time flies, you know?
Makes you feel old,
30 years later. God damn, dude, I just said 30 years, didn't I? 30 fucking years later, you know, we have these other strains, you know, this one is, now technically, the books say that the Super Silver Haze cat piss is the original cat piss. Now that just comes out of, you know, the books, right? But that's not how I experienced it in my youth and how I experienced it in my life. I didn't understand. I don't know if T-Dog also had maybe some sort of haze. I don't think it was. I think it was more indica. He had very deep description of what he found and how it was like snow bud, some other crazy weed, and he just crossed this to the G13. It was just like a mix. I think that's what the story is. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but very close to that. And then before you know it, he had this fucking strain that was really pissy and it was super loud, but it was more indica based. Mine is 100% like real sativa, except that it gets you fucking stoned as shit like an indica, and it keeps you light on your feet like a sativa, and it gives you everything that you want. That even. And I've learned how to even cross it into something awesome to where you can get even more, like it's not a 90-day haze. Like everybody fucking thinks that haze is 90 days. And that's another misconception. People are missing out on some pretty badass strains if you don't try some of these strains because you think they're 90 days. My haze is not a 90-day haze. It's a 60-day, 70-day haze. Maybe you could push it 75 if you really wanted to. But don't miss out on hazes because you think they're all 90 days. Sorry, guys, my alarm just. And then that's it, guys. That's my opinion on cat piss. And honestly, I don't want to ever say mine's better, yours is better, this is better. You know, fucking cat piss is cat piss, dude. Is it good? Does it smell great? Does it remind you of your fucking childhood? Dude, I love my cactus. Honestly, it's the fucking best plant ever. It grows fucking incredible. It has fucking gorgeous fucking leaves. You know what I mean? Just fucking extraordinary growth. It's just right now. This is just all bushed out because it's just. I mean, here, that's not. You know what I mean? She's just a beast. But right now I got a de-veg or what do you call it? Defoliate. It grows so fast in LED, guys. I'm fucking goddamn LEDs, dude. I do not know how LEDs grow your leaves so goddamn fast, but I tell you, I defoliate almost twice it feels like every 2 weeks I have to fucking defoliate, if not even every week. But at any rate, it's kind of cool in some ways. But forgive me, guys. I'm a stoner, man. I just got off topic. What was I fucking saying?
Well, off topic is a regular occurrence on this show. Have no worries.
Okay, bro. It's like, what the fuck?
It's fine.
Shit. I got way fucking too distracted. But my bad. Bring me back. Or if anybody wants to jump in, please. The cat piss, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never smoked cat piss, but the time I've seen it, I seen somebody sent me a picture of it that they got. Man, it's got all kinds of purple in the one that I seen. It was really beautiful looking stuff.
Oh, here, let me show you some shit, man. All right, I'm gonna fucking walk outside here, man. This is just my indoor situation.
My number 3 Charlotte's Web phenotype had a bit of a cat piss smell to it. So anybody that has my Spider Girl number 3 phenotype, you might find some cat piss in there.
So see, there you go. That's another, and you may find those smells like ammonia. What is cat piss exactly, and how, when do you actually consider it a cat piss? Is it because it has a pissy smell? Does it have ammonia based? Is it a full, like, just so fucking just pissy and ammonia and that's all it is? Okay, that's the cat piss if it's just pissy and ammonia. Well, to be honest with you, I don't interpret it that way. I interpret it does it have an ammonia base? That's how I interpret it. If it has some kind of pissy that I know that ammonia taste, it's like the OG taste. It's just completely different. It has its own little thing. Same thing with Trainwreck or Headband. It has its own little vibe, and so does cat piss. It has its own little. I mean, look at these fucking cat piss leaves, dude. Look at the size of this fucking monster. I can't even pull it out here. It's just so much fucking. And so this is a cross of my mother, one of my mothers. This is called chronic piss, and I mean, these plants are so fucking amazing. As far as cat piss is concerned, there's just a lot of different kinds because I could have a cross of it. I mean, one little cross could make that cat piss. And another thing, people say that cat piss is not something that you can breed. It's not something you have to find it once in like some 100 phenos that you're running. You're going to run 100 phenos and you're going to find cat piss one time, and that's all. And you're going to be lucky if you find it. This is, kind of true in some ways, right? But when you do find it, it is breedable, right? So when you find it, you have to go through a lot to find it, because I could go through 100 fucking plants of super silver haze and not find cat piss. It just doesn't smell like cat piss. It smells like super silver haze. But this is super silver haze cat piss. Now it's a unique pheno. Now, how do I take those traits and duplicate them and put them into seed form? Now you start back crossing that pheno. You start really working on the actual genetics. You start stabilizing traits. So if you want to go F2, F3, F4, F5, there's different reasons to go that direction versus going a back cross or an S1. Everyone, I mean, there's a lot of confusion around what is an F2, what is an F1, what is an F3 really? What happens when you reach F4 or F5? Is there an F6? Is there an F7? Is there an F12? Is it considered IBL? What's IBL? What the fuck does IBL mean? What's IX mean? I mean, what are all these fucking weird ass abbreviations that I have no kind of, I'm a new breeder. I have no idea what any of that shit means. Does it, all I care about is it good weed, but it's important to know that stuff, because if you don't understand, then you won't understand if you're getting genuine, stable genetics. You're gonna fucking think that you're getting some shit and it could herm on you. Not only could it herm on you, but it could fucking if it's untested, it could just be weird. It could just be a fucked up plant. It could be all kinds of phenotypes. It could be cool, and you might get lucky and find something good. But then if you're trying to do production, then you have all kinds of variations. So you just really want something that you know genuinely is going to be exactly what it says it's going to be. If it says it's cat piss, it comes out cat piss. It doesn't come out fucking cherries. It doesn't, maybe there's an off pheno that's a cherry cat piss pheno, cool, but it's not a cherry plant. 99.9% of the shit is cat piss. And how do you do that? So do you guys want to talk a little bit about that, or is that something of interest?
I personally didn't catch that last part. Your audio has been coming in and out since you've been outside.
Hello? Is that better?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay, it's all good.
That's a lovely spot you got out there, man.
Hey, man. Thank you, brother. Yeah. So sorry. I hope that's better. I took my headsets off and put it on speakerphone instead. So yeah, man, I'm pretty blessed, dude. This is my spot. I fucking honestly, I would have never guessed that this was where I was going to live, 30, 40 years from when I was fucking 15, 16 years old. I would have never guessed I would have fallen in love with San Diego this much and been able to have all of this fun and just being able to do whatever the fuck I want and wherever the fuck I want and really just kind of be in my own world and nobody bothers me. I don't bother nobody. I'm not like some mafia dealer, I'm just a breeder that fucking loves his weed and has some time to do it, So yeah, man, that's what are you guys thinking?
I'm thinking you got one hell of a spread there. Fuck.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Decent.
He's got me over here drooling.
Hashtag envious.
Dude, just imagine this, all right? So I come into this fucking house. I'm already overwhelmed. I'm a city boy, right? So I come in this fucking house. I have 12 acres around my house. All this shaved area is my land all the way around. There's, all the way around the fucking whole house, right? So, but I didn't know, see behind that shaved area, those mountains back there, those trails, that I would have access to all of that. So now my house just feels like I have 100 fucking acres because I could take my ATV, horses, my friends. I could fucking have camp outs up in the hills. I mean, I didn't know there's a lake down there. I didn't even know any of that was part of the deal until I bought this house and I started exploring, of course. And then I started wondering who the fuck owns that land? Can I go on it? And then before you know it, I find other people going on it. I'm like, what the fuck? I can, so then I start playing with it and it's just like, it just becomes part of my house. So it's been a pretty awesome journey.
That's great to hear, man. Shout out to rural living.
Just yeah. So Capus it's been a beautiful, honestly, a beautiful thing for me because I fucking love it. I don't know if you guys really tried the Capus. I would love to get every single one of you some of it. Also some of this OG. So you guys can start, I try to do a video the other day to show what the OG really looks like. Like, how an OG leaf looks like, the texture of the leaf, 11 leafer, is it a 7 leafer? Get some sort of characteristics on what you're actually dealing with, right? So that you can identify these, you can identify fucking true train wreck, and it's they all kind of look the same, right? And here's another fucking thing. And I promise I'll shut up. I end up getting me high on the subjects that I love, and I'll talk a little bit too long.
This is your time to shine. You got something to say, you say it, man. We're everybody's full attention to you right now. It's good stuff.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, cool. Well then, fuck. So there's so much fucking, fighting going on, to be honest with you, within the community, which is a trip, man, because you would think cannabis fucking calms all of us fucking down and bonds people together, and fucking we should be smoking joints together and fucking hanging out. But yeah, we're fighting over fucking, you know, strain types or shit like that, where, you know, strain, I have this, you don't, I do, you know, bullshit, you know, and oh no, that's not real skunk, you know. I'm like, instead of, and then half the people that bullshit, they shit, people that have
Your
never
audio
known,
is fading again.
so they have no proof, totally down other people just because they don't like their personality. They're throwing down their strain. They may actually have the authentic fucking real fucking skunk that everybody's, you know, just fucking looking for. And yet we put down people like Blue Sky. We don't even test
Your
his
audio
gear
keeps
out.
fading out there.
He's kind of a abrasive dude, you know, sometimes. And you know, that abrasiveness comes from trying so fucking hard to get strains out and not having the backing of your family and being the oddball out and trying to get something out that should be out. And it's like, why should I fight so fucking hard to do something good? You know? So when you get into those kind of weird zones in the vibration, I think you get angry. But aside from that, you know, I just feel like there's much more embrace of each other. Like, dude, why doesn't everybody who has a genuine old school thing find a home for it? Like, not only their house, but why don't we kind of gather each other's stuff together and we create seeds? And if you want to join in on a project or something like that, because you really do have a real thing, I have no problem in embracing the fact that you should be paid for that fucking, for giving us a blessing. You know what I mean? I think the win-win is always great, you know, but I just want to get the seeds out. I want to get people to have these old school flavors, because they will disappear. They will fucking go away. We will never see Headband again. Headband will eventually be gone, and it'll be like, wow, there was a strain. I remember what it tastes like. It was 30 years ago, but fuck, I never tasted it again. And that's going to be skunks. That's going to be everything. I mean, pretty soon it will be dominated by the companies that fucking are the biggest companies, which is one right now, Cookies. They dominate everything, period. They own the fucking cannabis industry. You know, and so that's whoever gets their weed out gets the fucking props, you know, gets their fucking shit into the gene pool. That's the way it works, you know, and so the biggest fucking lion gets the fucking lion. Working right now in this cannabis industry, but it sucks because a lot of the authentic stuff is going to disappear because of that if we don't hold on to it, and if we don't create a home for it that we can all respect. And people, and then again, there's people that, oh yeah, I tried that, and then that fucking dude ripped me off, and now, and dude, all that bullshit is out there. I get it, but they're fucking business good people. They're not going to sell genes to some fucking stupid company, whatever. And everybody worries about all that big shit when really it's all the small stuff. What about the smaller community? What about us as a fucking community, as a union in a sense, you know, as a fucking people? Can't we come together and just fucking and give to each other? God damn, dude, like a church, you know, call this fucking Chronic Church, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's like, fuck, that's where I'm at with it, bro. I just feel like people are, you know, in a lot of ways have fucking need to come together to give to each other so that we can give to each other, so we can keep giving to each other, because otherwise pretty soon it's going to be just a big fucking take, you know. Taking isn't as fun as giving. I mean, it's always fun to have some, and the more you give, the more you get. But anyways, that's my little rant on community. Other than that, man, I fucking love the game though, and I do love the people that are fucking cool as fuck, because it's not everybody that's fighting. There are some cool ass motherfuckers like you guys in the morning. I mean, I'm 6 in the fucking morning. I'm out in the fucking, you know, I'm getting misted on right now, smoking a joint of fucking OG from 15 years ago. I'm having a great fucking time with the homies right now. So to me, I'm like, dude, there's a lot. Dude, I found the most fucking incredible girl on the community. I was like, fuck, I couldn't believe that happened too. And then I'm like, dude, you know, the community gives, dude, and so many vibrations. There's a lot of vibration in the community that you just, if you just tap into, you'll see, you know, like friendships, bonds, people that have come over to my house and broke bread with me, you know, and fucking shared strains with me and stories and shared just it's been an incredible cannabis journey, you know. And so with that, guys, that's my story, brother. That's where I'm at right now with it. Any questions? Any comments so far?
I got a question to steer it in kind of a breeding direction. When you first started breeding, what were your first two strains that you crossed, and what was your reason for picking those two strains?
Well, I crossed what I had, right? So at time you don't have a lot, you know. There's a time. Sorry, my headsets keep picking up and it keeps pissing me off. I hope I'm not like totally fucking this whole interview up. I'm hoping. Can you hear me the whole time?
Fading in and out the entire time you've been outside.
Oh, good. Oh no, wait. No, that's
bad.
So it's been weird. Oh, that's bad. Well, then let's.
You jinxed them, man.
We just
totally faded out on us.
You know, he motherfucking had a question in the chat for him about a specific strain that he says he knows it's in testing. But
I saw that. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait for him to come back to ask him that one, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, that yard was amazing.
For the most part, because this is one show that I'm really interested in. I can either pay attention to chat or I can pay attention to what's being said on the show. I have a hard time doing both, and it's fun to get to talk with a breeder. Oh, he's gone. Hopefully he'll jump back in here in a minute. Maybe we scared him all. Like the sound. Here he is.
Sorry about that.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's technical difficulties happen somewhat.
Oh my goodness, I love it when that happens. You know, sorry about that. That really. And I fixed everything now. I got rid of my headsets. They kept trying to pull on while I was talking, and it was annoying me. So I just put them away, and then and I fixed my internet issue. So I think we should be good now.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. We were able to catch the majority of what you're saying. It's just every once in a while the mic gets away or whatever was going on there, and it kind of.
Yeah, that was my thing, trying to connect to the headset. Well, all right, perfect. Well, yeah, that's essentially it, guys. I mean, I am I don't know what picture just popped. Oh, hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Let's see here.
So one of the questions in chat for you from Ye Motherfucking Ha says, question, I know it's in testing, chatted with Old School the other day on Instagram, but would love to hear about the phenos he is seeing in the peanut butter skunk mints.
Peanut butter skunk mints is it's kind of a hybrid of Old School and New School, really. It's one of those ones that's, normally I don't do that. You know, I'm like trying to find Old School, but this one was kind of like that. Those flavor profiles. See, another thing about cannabis that people probably just don't know is that cannabis, you can actually have, it's one of those unique plants that literally you can have every profile that you could ever think about on human existence that you've ever smelled exists in the cannabis plant. And people don't realize that you can smell literally anything. So if it's like carpet, you know, I could smell carpet in a fucking plant. I could smell wheat, you know, whatever on a plant, you know what I mean? That's why people are trying to find the special skunk pheno or this thing. So his question was the peanut butter skunk mints. Now, to me, I'm finding pretty kind of interesting things because it's lava cake, or it's yeah, what is it? Oh shit. Yeah, it's a holy shit. I'm having a space out. Peanut butter souffle. Sorry, it's peanut butter souffle times GMO times super skunk, and that's from AK yeah, so that's it's pretty good, right? So you have the peanut butter souffle, which is lava cake and dosi dough, right? So those already come very stinky and loud, and that's the newer age, and GMOs starting to become older classic, it's the super skunk, that's the oldest part in there. So it's really 3/4 new, 1/4 old. And really what you're trying to do is build a profile, a taste profile. And that's all I'm working on first, right? I find profiles that I fucking love and I go, oh my God, everybody else loves it. Oh my God, it tastes like this. Oh my God, and then you start working with it and trying to stabilize it. And that's really and so as far as the peanut butter skunk Pinot, man, I'm finding like this really cool. I wish I could show it here. You know what? I could just show them to you. So yeah, so it's been a really cool journey on that one too, because that's just been fun. I mean, I'm just doing a pheno hunt right now, and pheno hunts are always fun because you never know what you're going to find in the strain. And I crossed it to many different males that I thought, and there's one particular one that is just really doing a lot of good here. I don't know if I really want to go in here. To be honest with you, I try not to go in and out of my room.
Oh, I want to be in there. I don't know about you, but I definitely do.
But this is it. This is one of the babies. If you think about this little baby right here, look at the leaf structure. Look at it's 3 and then a little fat 5. It's just such a fucking badass plant. And look at the leaf structure on this one. It's just such an interesting fucking looking plant. It has so different. And then look at, here's another pheno of it. A whole different pheno. Look at that thing. And then all these are phenos that I'm finding over here too. Everything. These are the really interesting, most interesting looking leaf phenos that I found. And these 7 here, or 8 together, I put together. They're just such weird texture to the leaf. And it's just such a cool look to it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that turns out to be. But I mean, look at this thing. Look at these fucking things. Look at the fucking bushiness of this. Look at this. Look at the inside. I can't even see. I mean, I have to defoliate pretty soon. That's how powerful that thing is coming up and through these bigger leaves. It's like a fucking monster. And same thing. I mean, they're just let's see another one here. I try to take off all these huge leaves because I get stuck with. They hide everything from here. But look at that. About 3.5 weeks. Almost going on a month now. Fucking badass. So these are all the phenotypes that I'm finding here. And that's another one as well. So just kind of different. Here's a let's see, what is this one? Yeah, this is PB as well. Look at this big old star-shaped arms. And everyone has just structured body. Just looks so mighty. So that's what I'm finding in this particular hunt, right? So I'll do about, I don't know, 60, 70, I think are in here, something like that. Sometimes I try to do about 100. So I'm going to take a bunch of these outside, and I'm going to duplicate everything I'm doing in here. I'm actually, all the females that I find and all the males that I find and everything that I do. And then finally, I'm going to duplicate everything, put it in the greenhouse, duplicate everything, put it outside. Because I want to watch it grow in 3 different environments. And then I'm going to give it to my other, house, my HPS house, because I want to watch it grow under LEDs. And I want to watch it grow under HPS. They're all different. I want to feed it salts, and then I also want to feed it organics. So I want to go through a process with these plants before I release them, before anybody touches them, because honestly, if I fuck up, people are relying on me. I have to fucking say it that way. If I fuck up and I give you some bullshit, and it's gonna take you a lot of fucking times. And let's just imagine one of you guys, right? You're gonna spend 3 fucking months to find some bullshit. And that means that you spent a lot of money on electricity. That means you spent a lot of hours and dedication to getting it fulfilled. That means that you fucking actually did a hard fucking work for 3 fucking months tried it, cured it, got to the fucking end and realized it wasn't what you expected. That to fucking me drives me nuts because you just wasted 3 months of my fucking time on something. And sometimes I run it twice or 3 times just to make sure I'm not the idiot who fucked it up. So now I just wasted 9 months of my fucking time, electricity, and journey to realize that I didn't get really what I thought I was going to get. Now, times how many people did I sell packs to? I just say 100 people on a drop. If I sold 100 people times fucking all that time, holy shit, bro, that's a whole lifetime of one person. I just killed somebody pretty much. It feels like I just wasted a whole life. It feels like that's a lot of time wasted for, if you add that up, it's probably years and years, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't do math very well, but it just feels that way. I feel like I just wasted 3 months of everybody's fucking life. So I really dedicate myself to looking for the best. Like for me, I'm like, okay, so which ones grow the fastest? Okay, cool. I got one in the corner, the most vigorous. Okay, anything else going on over here? Yeah, this one over here. Okay, cool. This one looks like the fucking beast of the beast. What else is going on? Which one's the bad ones, the shorties that don't like this environment? I found some shorties. I put them over here, to stretch them out a little bit because I found out that plants sometimes don't like LED environments because the light's too intense. This is 1,000 water right here. A fucking 1,000 watts. Or it's not 1,000 watts, 650 watts, but it represents 1,000 watt HPS in intensity. So
which light is that you got up there?
That's a mega. It's called the Next Light Megas. Okay. I got 4 of them here. That was like just an investment in itself. Holy shit, dude. That was like, each one are $1,500, man. I mean, $1,600, that's like a lot of money all of a sudden, just for a little room. So when you're committed to this, guys, and you're using good grade stuff, you get your routines down right, you should see everything go well. A lot of us aren't growing great cannabis because we don't have our routines down. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. It takes a long time, to be honest with you. And somebody on this fucking station just said it. There was no coaches back then.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking coached anybody. Nobody. Yeah. Who is that?
That was my biggest problem as a grower starting out is I literally had nobody to help me out and troubleshoot deficiencies. And anytime the only place I could really go was Facebook, and the answer is always CalMag if you go to Facebook, and it's just like it was really truly frustrating. And it was about 4.5 years until I actually started meeting people that are actually really forthcoming with great positive info and looking to help you out and that actually want to see you succeed. It's great.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right, man. Because when you finally have somebody in your corner that knows what they're doing and they actually want you to do good, wow, man, your journey just goes from holy shit slow to much, much faster. Because there's a lot of little stuff. I would recommend talking to a lot of the people at the hydro stores, just getting into conversations, doing a lot of research, finding somebody who's better than you are. If you don't, try to find somebody somebody who's close to you, who has a grow room, who lets you babysit their plants, trim their weed, do their stuff for them. That would be one of the best ways to learn without having to fuck up everything of your own. Basically be somebody's assistant for a while. And that's what I did, and I still do it to this day. I still have people teaching me the way, because it's like now I'm learning organics like in a massive way, just a whole different concept of growing, a whole different thinking behind the growing, a whole different method and reason to grow in a different way. Most people today are growing salts. Let's just say, what are salts? Now, every single nutrient is a salt, period. Okay, so let's just define that correctly. Now, there are man-made synthetic salts, and then there are organic salts, if you really, 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 truly wanted to talk about it in a correct manner. But we refer as a community to salts as stuff like, I don't know, heavy 16 or advanced nutrients or any of that stuff. A lot of that stuff's all, salt based, more handmade, kind of stuff. Now, when you do that, just imagine this. This is the concepts I want to give to a couple of people out there that are watching. The concept is this: if I feed this plant McDonald's every single day, and I feed it. Now it's good McDonald's food. Don't get me wrong; it's fresh and it's strong, but it only is McDonald's every single day. You know, every single day. And this plant needs a little bit more than McDonald's. I'd probably give it, you know, you can give it some of this and give it some of that. But if you're feeding it this basic box food every single day, it may need something more than just that box food to become an Olympian, right? Now you think that, you know, you're feeding it all this advanced nutrients. It's almost like vitamins that get pissed out of the plant, right? It absorbs some, doesn't absorb some, and that's kind of the way it works, right? So what you're trying to do is get this plant to absorb as much as it can, whenever it wants. It wants to eat as much as it wants, whenever it wants, however it wants, and whatever it wants, right? You want that in your plant. And so the only true way to do that is through organics. And understanding organics is like allowing your plant to fully eat. It eats what it truly wants, when it wants. You're force feeding when you're giving salts. It's almost kind of like a steroid almost, in a sense, you know, bud tighteners, this and that. You don't need all of that to have chronic. You think you do because that's what everybody's teaching you nowadays. But if you want tasty weed, not just if you're a small grower, like 99% of us are on this line, maybe some of us are, you know, advanced, big, giant growers. Okay, got it. If you're doing commercial, totally get it. Go salts. It's fucking hydroponic. Got to do what you got to do. But you're going to lose some taste. You're going to get some fluffy ass weed. It's going to look pretty, but you're not going to get chronic. You're not going to get what you're really dreaming about. That same plant, I'll take it and I'll give it back to you. You won't even notice that. You won't even know that it's the same plant because it'll look different. It'll taste different, and it'll be better than what you're doing under salts. You may look just a little bit more like the original plant. It won't look all buffed out and polished up, but that's okay because I don't need it to be that. I mean, you can get bud tighteners that are organic. You can get bud boosters that are organic. You can get nitrogen fixers that are organic. You don't need to have a bunch of bugs in your fucking room going organic. Most people think going organic, I got to have worms. I got to go no-till. I got to get bugs in here. Oh no, how the fuck am I going to do that indoor? Dude, that's not 100% correct. That's how I was thinking. So that maybe I was thinking maybe some other people thought that same thing. But that's not correct. You can do organics in a very clean fashion and have fantastic results, especially small scale, where you're gonna have some fucking fire ass weed. Like you're gonna have weed that your buddy you get that dispensary weed. You know why it all tastes the fucking same? It's because it's all grown the same.
Yeah. Yeah. On this panel, we're all most of us are organic growers or looking to get into organic growing, and yeah, we're all big fans of it for the most part.
Dude, I totally, and it's the way it should be. I mean, a lot of us don't get
I think I'm the only salt grower that's proud of it.
Well,
hey, listen,
there's
nothing wrong with salt.
I'm a cocoa insoluble.
Dude, I grow salts too. I grow HPS and salts, and that fucking plant looks like a goddamn beast. And I love salts, but that's because I have a performance garden that I need my weed to look good. I need it to fucking frost up the most it can. I need it to fucking I need volume out of that garden. You know, I'll supplement organics to really try to get as much taste as I can while I'm going through the process. But I need performance in that garden. And it needs to pay for itself, and me, you know, and everybody else and everything else. So with that, I go salts. Fuck it. You have to, you know, in those situations. But if you're doing this for yourself, you're doing this for the homies, for the party, for the fucking best weed you ever smoked, you're gonna need to change the system a little bit. You'll have some great ass weed. Organic. I mean, fire is fire, dude. I grow salt and it's fire. You will not fucking hate my salt weed. I'll tell you that right now. You'll fucking love smoking it. I love smoking it. I smoke it all every day. But I really love the organics because it's just like it takes it to the it's another level. There's just the next notch up. That's all. It's just the next notch up. It's just like you're never gonna get that frosty of weed with organics. That the frostiest you can get with salts. Salt is gonna fucking frost out your plants. It's gonna boost it up. It's gonna pump it up. It's gonna build it up. It's gonna explode it like some guy on fucking steroids. But it's certainly fun to look at, and I love doing it because, quite frankly, it's fun. It's fun to see what your plants could do push like that. You know, I love doing it like that. But you can also push with organics, and you have to learn how to do that too. So that to me, the whole process is eventually getting into going from salts to organics, and then learning how to really run the organics and push the organics, and make your fucking stalks thicker than a pencil stick, you know, make them like, wow, these are like bonsai plants. They're not normal. That's the goal, I guess, for me. And honestly, I'd like to hear from some of you guys. What are your styles? What do you want to do? Is there any questions for me? Because I know this is about me, but it really isn't about me. It's about us. You know what I mean? So let's jump in, please.
I mean, personally, I love your vibe. I love your style. It's something that I kind of got into the cannabis community about, was that same vibe of just, you know, being able to grow some killer cannabis and be able to share it with people I love and value the most. You know what I mean? Like, I got no problem hooking somebody up with some great weed and stuff like that. But like, you know, your true homies and stuff like that, you know, like those are the people that get it. You know what I mean? The heady stash and stuff like that, the stuff that we care about growing, the stuff that we love growing, the stuff that, you know what I mean, that we blood, sweat, and tears for, you know, like I'm not doing this shit to learn how to grow like okay weed, you know?
Yeah,
and
no, it's
to have people like you in the game doing it, breathing it, and stayed in the game and stayed true, you know what I mean? Like you said, there's so many people that have kind of, I'm not gonna say sold out or anything, you know what I mean, but just kind of, I guess, lost focus of why I guess I originally, you know, fell in love with cannabis and what it does for people. And that's where, you know, kind of the greed comes in and stuff like that. And that's kind of where like friendships kind of get lost and such. So
I look at it as this: are you in it for the money or are you in it for the plant? Is the line in the sand. And it's you don't get me wrong, you can certainly do both, but there's generally an overriding agenda one way or the other. You're doing this for the plant and the love of it, and you're just this fascination, and you happen to make money off of it, which is great. I'm not fucking it. Or you love cannabis, but you just really want to make some money off it, and that's all that really matters, you know.
Yeah, for sure. 1000%. There's the business guy, and then there's the cannabis artist that really wants to be in business.
Yeah. So I'll try and steer it back to breeding talk. Do you have seeds up for sale now, or is that something you're working towards?
No, I definitely have seeds available. I'm already with my Capis. I'm at BX2. So I'm already back crossed her twice. I'm working on my BX3. I'm going to try to get her to BX4 so that you can see the original mother in a sense. So each back cross, it's just for those of us who don't understand what that is. So let's just say the first back cross that you do, you're going to have what's called 75% of the original mother. And so each additional back cross that you do, I believe it's up to 4 or 5. I can't remember if it's 6 or something like that. Eventually you get to an IBL, and then you basically reduplicated that particular strain that you were trying to duplicate, right? So if I'm trying to duplicate my mother Capis, I'll get to IBL status on it, and that'll eventually be what's called a breeding strain. And so right now I'm at Capis BX2, Super Silver Haze, and I have those seeds available. They're being tested. I like to go through tests before I really do a full release. I'll have some of my close people that, I have my followers, my followers trust me. They know that even my testing on stuff, certain things, if it's a new strain that I've never worked with before, never played with before, never seen before, I'm not releasing that at all. Like that's under the gun. Like you're not getting that until I'm done fixing or finishing what I want out of it. But if it's something that I've been working with for 4 years and it's pretty damn stable and everything I cross with it, I know what's going on with it. I'll let it out to some people as far as testing and just certain people, caliber people, I'll let out stuff like that too. And then that's right now. So that's the Cat Piss BX2. I also have a White Rhino series. Super cool weed, man. I mean, if you're looking for old school, if you're looking for the taste, like the fucking Afghani 90s weed, that's White Rhino. I mean, there's White Widow, and that was literally the staple of that time. There was no White Rhino, there was White Widow. There was fucking Northern Lights and White Widow, and White Widow took over everything. And then all of a sudden there was a cross made with an unknown Afghani or unknown indica of some kind, and it was called the White Rhino. And it was just a little bit more bite to the Afghani part of the White Widow taste, right? So it was more Afghani than taste of it. So that was always what I remember, that Afghani skunky. It's almost kind of even has a weird citrusy smell sometimes in the smell when it's growing. But once it finally dries and cures, it's all smoked, and it's all Afghani. It's all like that nice kush, that just skunky vibe to it. It's like that 90s taste. I don't know how to explain it. I wish I could just have a joint with you guys. But that's the White Rhino series. I do a lot of different crosses also with Cat Piss. So my crosses are tested and they're fucking bad, dude. If I put a cross in the line, it's because that cross is worth gold. It's like, it's the cross of I fell in love with it. I'm like, this is going to be part of the line. And so I got Paris OG, which is cool. It's one of the only new ones that I have because the frost content was too far out. I just had to have it in the lineup. I was like, wow, this thing's like a frost monster, and I'm going to use it as a mother and play with it. And I like the taste and smell of it, and just had all the characteristics I wanted. And that's why I did Paris OG, and it was very unknown strain, and nobody can find seeds on it. Nobody can find a cut on it. And I like those niches, where I can be a certain guy who builds up certain things that are kind of almost lost. And so that one was kind of feeling like it was getting lost. There was a P91 back in the day. Have any of you guys heard of the P91 in San Diego?
I don't think so. I was just going to say, I love the fact that you're working with strains that aren't like the big hype strains of the day and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, people that are, but it's just like, you're looking for something different. You're looking for your own spot. And I love that.
Oh, thanks, brother. That's exactly it. I'm just trying to find that. Honestly, I can't even believe that Old School Chronic, it was meant to be, because I couldn't believe that the name was even available on Instagram. And so many people have said, hey man, what a great name, because it represents what you're doing. And I'm like, dude, I never really thought of it, how cool of a name it was, until I finally really started thinking about, damn, that's a fucking cool name. It's easy to remember, and it represents exactly what we're trying to pull off here. Old School Chronic. And that's it, bro. I just wanted to find that old school stuff, bring it back. And I found, there was an old school stuff back in the day. It was the Queen of San Diego. That's why it was such an important strain to this particular area. San Diego has a lot of cannabis history. It's like Humboldt, right? Certain strains come out of Humboldt. Some strains come out of San Francisco. Some come out of, Michigan. Some, Boston. Just different places, and they have these legendary Texas strain. This legendary California strain. Well, in San Diego was the epic. That's where California is known for their chronic, for one. And San Diego was known for the capital of being the best chronic of California, way farther than Humboldt, because Humboldt was, that was outdoor greenhouse most of the time. We were indoor all the time. We grew the best weed there was in the fucking planet at the time. There was no better weed than you were ever going to get in your fucking life than San Diego at the time, in the planet, period. And even in the world right now. Period. You go to Jamaica, try to find their weed. Their weed sucks. Go to probably any place in the whole fucking world and you smoke their weed, it all sucks. Israel is probably the only place that has good chronic, and there's like one or two places aside from that, they don't have real fucking California chronic or real United States chronic, right? Because I know a lot of us but that's how it was back in the day, right? So San Diego has these legendary strains where even the fucking legendary area of a legendary area, and now a legendary strain in the area. This was the queen of all queens. It was the holy fucking grail of weed. People still to this day say they've literally paid $5,100 for a pound of this back in the day. This was it was more than the $4,000 weed. It was the holy shit. You'll never. And some of the people that I met the weekend were actually some of the people who grew that, who actually had a full grow room, were one of the people that were fucking caught up in the bust of this whole little genre of things that were happening back down in these times, this historic times of cannabis for San Diego. There was a huge bust where 36 houses got busted all in one fucking day in 2004. And I was sitting with the legends, fucking some of the fucking original people of those times. Yesterday, dude, it was fucking yesterday. And to me, that's just nostalgia, but it was cool. It was like, fuck, I get to smoke weed with my homies. And it's like the guy, I feel like I'm the new guy, like the fucking on the block, and potentially somebody that'll be remembered 30 years from now. Right. So hopefully, I'll be, some kid nowadays grown will come to me and be like, yeah, dude, you're one of those dudes. Then I wanted to, that'll be kind of cool to have that. Like, yeah, I remember that shit. I had my heroes of my time, and I want to bring back stuff to not be a hero, but just to be able to do it, have my dream fulfilled personally and be part of the history of cannabis and at least in my little town, and have my little thing going on and have my little niche and have my little home and have my little community that loves what we do together. So that's so far what I'm finding out of this whole stuff. So sorry, man, got me fucking high on some, and talking and on coffee. So stop me anytime, please.
No need to apologize, man. We're loving it.
Go make some more coffee.
We're gobbling it up.
Thanks,
Great when I don't have to sit there and keep it going. It's awesome.
Yeah, like I'm searching
somebody get the man an energy drink quick.
I'm learning stuff.
Thanks, dabs.
I'm the dab bell in my hand at the moment because I'm out in the garage having a cigarette, but I think it's a good time for everybody to take a dab.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
Cheers. Get my coffee. I figure out where I left it.
Now, old school chronic. Are you into dabbing, or are you strictly like a kind of old school hash guy? Are you into hash
no, man.
Or just a straight flower guy? What's up?
You know what, dude? I'm not into like cleaning up my mess. So I'm a messy kind of, I can get messy kind of. So I hate dabs only because I have to clean them. But when I fucking hang out with my homies that know how to do it right, and they fucking have these awesome heat detectors, and they fucking know how to. Because I always burn my throat when I fuck up, and I'm just like, man, this doesn't feel good. I know I'm not doing it right, and so I just haven't had enough experience with it. Where it's like, but my homies, dude, they're all little. I call them the dab snobs, the chronic snobs, because they really are they really, really love their taste, and their terps. And man, dude, they show me shit that they show me what my weed really tastes like. Like when they do a fresh water hash, and then we smoke that together. I'm going, dude, this is what the weed tastes like. So
that's what I'm excited about, is like those old school strains coming into this extract world. You know what I mean? Because you don't see any of those that you're talking about, rhinos or anything, any of the old widows. You don't see any of you know what I mean? You don't see any of those in the extract world, and it'd be cool to see it. So,
well, like I said, I'm a big sharer. I like to make sure everybody's taken care of. So whatever you guys need, let me know. There's certain strains I can't share right now, only because if I'm in the middle of breeding with them. But outside of that, once I'm done breeding with it, I'm fine with sharing it. And I also don't mind sharing other stuff that I have that I'm not currently breeding with. So anything like from white rhino, I'm not breeding with yet. I'm breeding with it next season. So that one's fine. I can let that out right now. And And then that was cool, man. If you guys like running White Rhino, I think you'd fucking love it, dude. She's such a pretty girl. She's such a 90s girl. She's such a fucking 90s girl, dude. She looks like a 90s girl. She grows like a 90s girl. She buds like a 90s. She smells like one. She owns that shit, dude. A White Rhino is the fucking owner of the 90s, in my opinion, for me. That's my, the only other weed that I could think of that would take over and have a position like that in my mind is that Christmas bud that I'd never found again. Have you ever smoked Christmas weed? Some people call it Christmas bud or Xmas bud, or it was like this super piney skunk, and I never found it again. It was
I haven't, but my mom has talked about it for years.
Really? That shit, bro. I just remember getting it every Christmas.
My mom's chatted about that like a legend, and I'm like,
yeah,
well, that's because the first really good weed I ever had, I mean, really good weed, was that piney, skunky tasting weed. Came from Meigs County, Ohio. It was grown by a bunch of, in a field. I happen to know one of them, and I got a lot of that. It was really expensive, even back then, but it was really, really good. You never see that anymore. It didn't have a name, though. We just called it Meigs County dope, man. Because that's you could even look it up in High Times. They ran a thing on it in High Times.
Sorry, guys, I'm getting my coffee warmed up here. Yeah, no, dude, I'd love to see. That's the weed that I remember, man, is like nostalgia weed, like Christmas pine skunk, and could never find that shit again. After a while, it was just like I just kind of like figured it doesn't exist anymore. But somebody's got it out there. I hear that people are selling something called X Bud or X Bud, something 76 or 86 or some number after. And I think it's that old Christmas bud, and so see, I think that somebody has every profile out there somewhere. It's just that we're not sharing right now. This guy that has the OG Kush right now, he's just, he's holding on to it, and it's a valuable one. And you don't want to just give it out to everybody, because then it loses some of that value. But at the same time, you kind of do want to also be able to recreate some of that too. So there's kind of this I want to hold on to it, but I also want to share it, right? So it's a sweet balance between knowing how to share and when to share, and also what to share, and to who to share it to, and when not to share it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the only time I don't share something, honestly, for me, it's just a breeding thing. I don't really care. I want everybody to have weed. If I had the OG Kush, I'd probably try to get out to as many people as possible, because, and I don't have it personally. My partner does, and he's kind of got a little bit of a tight lock on that, where he just doesn't want to release it. So we're going to do an S1, or we're going to start breeding with it and getting some real genuine crosses, and then start working with some other stuff with it, So, but with that, I'm going to convince him one day that this is really something that needs to be out there, that really we need to spread it to a bunch of old breeders so we can start infusing this. And if the worst case scenario is we just get some authentic seeds that come authentically off of the original stuff like that, cool. At least we can back cross, we can do some S1s, we can play around, we can do whatever we got to do to preserve it, and then have it available, and have a place where people fucking can connect to it, because not let people even know who I am. I'm nobody. You guys are much more connected than I am. But I'm just grateful to be on here, to be able to connect with your people, and hopefully my people are connecting too. I can't wait to post this up and see what everybody thinks.
Well, we're not that well connected. There's only 12 people watching, and 5 of them are on this panel right now. So it's
Hey, man. Well, you know what? We're all kind of connected and just to each other.
There's a few more not watching, I suspect, and we love every single one of them. It's just we always try and downplay ourselves and take shots. Since
no, you guys, I heard great things, and you guys have been fucking nothing but great hosts. Honestly, good vibrations. All positive talk, no down talk. You know, I love it.
I
That's our
can't see a
community.
point arguing about cannabis, man.
So if somebody were to want to get a hold of some of your seeds, where would they look for them?
You know, I'm just about to build a website, but they can DM me right now on Instagram at Old School Chronic or Old School Chronic _live. Both those are mine. The reason why I have two, and they're very similar, is one, I was every so often they would just block me from doing live, so I would like to not post on that other one. And then because every time I post a cannabis picture for a while, they were just, dude, I was under some sort of radar, and I just kept getting violations after violations. Eventually they kind of restricted me, so now even my live is restricted. So that's why I had that double one. But go to Old School Chronic, hit me up. I have all kinds of cool lists I'll give to you, about 7 really qualified tested strains that I've already been through, and I'm adding to that. You know, we're about to add Fire OG. It's called the Hellraiser OG, but it's Fire OG times Face Off OG, and it's an old time classic. You know, seeds have been sold out forever. It's an archive thing, but man, it is all glue and gas, and people look for all glue and gas. Like, they're done with the sweet. Most people that are into sweets, you want sweet, you want it all sweet. Sorry, my dog's going crazy for a coyote.
Yeah, it happens.
Let me know if he gets annoying. I'll go inside. Hey, come here. Sorry. So if you're trying to, in the dabbing community, a lot of people do like the sweets, right? Because it tastes good. You know, some good cherry dabs and some good freaking fire, whatever, blueberry dabs. I mean, that shit tastes awesome. So I don't think that sweet is ever going to die. I think that it's very hard to find stuff that doesn't have sweet in it, to find the old school Afghanis and the old school gases and the old school glues and the old school pines that are out there that are influenced, that don't have any influence of sweet in it yet. Because once you have that sweet involved into a plant, it's really hard to get it out of that taste profile. So that's where I come from with dabs. I fucking love dabs. Can't wait to bring back some of this stuff for dabs. I honestly, let's just say I tried some cat piss, and it was pretty thick, dude. It was a little thicker than I liked, because maybe again I took too big of a hit. But man, and some people just like good thick old fashioned weed. To me, it was a little thick on the dab, but man, in a joint, I love my joints, dude. I'm totally a joint guy.
I'm with you on that, man. I try and fuck around with every other smoking method, and I'll kind of gravitate towards a certain, like, say a bong or a dab rig or my vaporizer for a little bit. It always comes back to joints. Always
Joints. That's my
I
way.
fucking love
Every time
joints.
I get weed or anything, it's always in the joints. Burn test.
Yeah. If I'm going to do a test, if I want to taste weed, if I really want to taste the essence of that weed, it's the first hit, the biggest first hit I can take off that first joint. And the bigger the joint, the better. That gives me the authentic, I know what the fuck this shit tastes like minute, and a bowl is good, but it always seems to have some burnt shit inside of it, unless you're always cleaning it. A dab is different. That's a whole nother fucking world. I love dab highs, dude. Man, the high off of a dab is fucking intense. It's like you can go to work on that shit. You know what I mean? Literally get high and go to work and have a clear mind and a clear high and be fucking like, especially if you've never done it before, you don't do it. Holy shit. That stuff will run you for a loop. And you can be in a fucking full on meeting, but high as fuck and clear as fuck. That's just the difference between smoking a joint. Because smoking a joint, I'll be that way, but it's not as clear. Like the dabbed hit is just so clear,
Yeah, I agree. And the burnout isn't quite as intense either when you start burning out on that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I find if I smoke, if I smoke 2 or 3 joints and then burn out, I'm going to be a lot more tired than if I would have had 2 or 3 dabs and then let it.
That's really interesting. I think it's the carcinogens,
Yeah, absolutely. Like higher temperature dabs, I feel like have more of physical effect I've come to find too, you know. So like if I wake up like super early in the morning, I'm taking a super hot dab, and when I'm done coughing 15 minutes later, you know what I mean, I'm kind of ready to go back to sleep. But those lower tip dabs, I definitely get that clear headed, you know what I mean, just cerebral, just able to kind of float on through and be able to really just zone in.
You know, it's so funny. I've been through so many phases of getting high. You know, here's something passionate that I'm about is not getting too high all the time. You know, I feel like there has been a time, and there's a vibe in the community is like, let's get high every day, all day long. Let's do it all day, all day. And dude, there's a time for that, because I've definitely had those periods in my life where it's like, fuck, dude, I just want to get high right now. Like right fucking now, you know? And then there's a time of clarity, you know, where it's like, okay, I got to come out of my little high buzz of cloudiness, and I got to get clear, and I got to get fucking focused on building some shit and getting things done. Because the cannabis is known to affect your motivation, let's just say. And I totally get it. I'm gonna be real with myself. I'm very affected by it, in sometimes not a good way, sometimes very motivated by it. Matter of fact, you know, I get up and go because of it. Matter of fact, if I have to fucking drive somewhere at nighttime, I don't want to say this on a fucking TV thing, but really, if I had to drive like fucking late night, cannabis keeps you up. Like, you smoke a joint, you could actually go on a drive, because it's not like fucking, it's not alcohol, dude. It literally actually zings you and keeps you up, you know? And I actually will stay up on, especially when I'm going to go to sleep and I'm so tired, it's really late night. And I'm like, you would think, oh, let's smoke a joint to go to bed. No, for me, I smoke a joint, I'm going to want to talk, especially if it's sativa or something. I want to talk. Fuck, if I had to drive home in a late night, it would be an emergency sake to do that. I don't normally do that, but I would say that would keep you up. You know, it's like a cup of coffee. And so there's a whole bunch of different kinds of weed that are out there. I mean, I had some really sleepy ass weed the other day. I was like, oh my fucking God, dude, I'm tired as fuck. I got to go to bed. I go, this is great for people that want to go to sleep, man. My God, I didn't realize how much of a punch that shit had. And that was the black stem weed that I have. I have a plant that is, it's really fucking exotic, dude. It has a purple stem, and it's not a deficiency. It's a complete genetic fucking trait. It's completely almost a black plant when it buds, black and purple. And it smells like peanut butter, fucking protein shake / blueberries and some other shit in there, like banana blueberries. I swear to God, it has this weird, like fruity ass kind of bluish smell to it that you can't really pinpoint. And it's a blue plant. It's a purple plant that smells blue. Fucking exotic as fuck. But it's so stony, dude. It's so sleepy though. That's the thing, man. I can't smoke that shit because that's for going to sleep time. And I will go to sleep. I'll have to go to sleep right away, because that shit just puts you out. But anyways, you guys, anybody experience that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm all about different weeds for different times of day. If you got a good one that'll put you out. Like, I'm a notoriously horrible sleeper, so I need something that can actually put me out for a bit at night. But I'm an all day long smoker, so I generally like sativas, so that I don't hit that fucking, oh my God, I need a nap right now at like 11 o'clock in the morning kind of thing.
All right. Yeah, no, I feel you. So that's the benefits of a dab, you know. That shit'll just zing your ass. But cool. You know, any other questions, guys? Anybody asking anything?
Well, you know, if I were to actually have sat there and trying to thinking of stuff instead of listening to you go, I'm just like, I just love listening to you go here. It's interesting as hell to me.
Oh, cool, man.
Like more breeding questions I could start asking you, because I'm excited about having a breeder here. What do you got for upcoming projects in mind that you would like to work with?
God, well, that's a great question, actually. So it's funny because I'll have two friends, and both those friends in the community don't like each other. So I have like this one guy in the UK that I work with. His name is Blue Sky. His name is, you know, I won't always say his real name, but his code is Blue Sky. Blue Sky Sabina.
and he has this skunk, and he's been trying so hard to get this flavor out, right? It's a flavor profile. It's something he believes in, and he just wants to get it out. And he believes it's like roadkill skunk. You're going to find all kinds of skunk, but that old school, what everybody thinks is gone, he believes he has. So I ran his gear. I was gifted his gear, and I ran it, and I actually did smell something that I'd never smelled before. And then it caught my attention because I was like, whoa, this is skunk. This is what the fucking, this is different. That I mean, I've smelled this before. I smelled skunk before, but this is kind of a different kind of skunk. Because back even in the day in the 90s, I never really touched base with roadkill skunk. I never even fucking heard of that until I became part of the community. So I was introduced to Northern Lights, Chocolate Ties, all that shit, just stuff, White Widows and all that stuff. But I never fucking, I never heard of that other one. So shit, I lost track of my thoughts. What were we just talking about?
Skunk. You were talking about the skunk. You were talking about
from
skunk.
a buddy in the UK.
Oh yeah, the skunk, right? So the UK, so my bro in the UK, killer personality, cool dude. We just totally vibe, and so, but he's hated, like, in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of people are fucking hating on the dude. So at any rate, I got a skunk project going on with that, because I ran it. I smelled something I hadn't smelled before. It was so loud, so sticky, so fucking skunky. I was like, what is this? This is kind of like, and again, here's another fucking thing that really kind of gets me a little bit, guys. And it's something that I wish that we could address as a community, is profile tasting on cannabis. Like, who says something is or isn't it? Who has the authority to say this is not a skunk? This is a rotting corpse. I'm like, what the fuck's the difference? Skunk is a skunk. Skunk smells like fucking, well, no, it's not, John. It's not. It's roadkill skunk smells like roadkill skunk. What the fuck does roadkill skunk smell like that?
Actually, because like if you go with like the skunk when it first sprays, it's like a burnt tire. You know what I'm saying? But afterwards, It's got this. I guess the lingering smell is really what is more depicted on the skunk plant strain. I'm sorry, from what I remember, because I've come across the skunk, and when I say it smelled like roadkill skunk, because it's not fresh sprayed skunk. It's like it's already been sprayed. Yeah, it's not like that. So that's when they say roadkill.
I love that. I love that you have an opinion on it, and that you can describe it a little bit better than most, because quite frankly, nobody's really given me, it smells like a skunk. I'm like, okay, well, fucking, I get it. I literally the other day saw a fucking skunk ran over. I almost fucking pulled over to go smell it.
I was gonna say that's what it smells like, because like a skunk and a sprayed, sprayed from a skunk. If you ever had like dogs that's been sprayed by a skunk, like, it's terrible, right? But like
I've been sprayed.
Skunk that's been hit by a car that's been sitting there for like 2 days, you know what I mean? Just has this smell. You know what I mean? I remember in Tennessee back in the early 2000s, you know what I mean? There's that RKS down there, they were calling it, and that's what it was, man. It was just nasty, offensive, and like, you smell them, that was exactly what it smelled like.
The after spray of a skunk, man, makes my mouth water. Like, that's all I can think about is that strain. It's so I posted that thing in chat. It's like everything we crave smells like shit, and in our reality, we want to be around it. Cat piss, skunk, freaking some of the other ones there. Damn it, posted another one. Anyway, the fuels, like all that, like. Would we really want to be the puke smell? Like, this is stuff we don't normally want to smell, but are obsessed with smoking it. I don't know. It's weird.
I say this all the time. It seems like the grosser the smell in real life, the better it smells in cannabis. It's
crazy. Like putrefaction, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right? Because it's
that
kind
putrefaction
of a
smell.
Yeah, and it's okay. So let me kind of hit on that for a second. So I smell this fucking plant, and it smells like a fucking skunk, like an off skunk, like that burnt rubber, deathy kind of weird smell. Like, this is not normal chronic nowadays skunk. You get the Afghani skunk, which is different than a skunk. Now, and then there's rotting fruit skunks. There's so many different profiles of skunks that could have that actual back tone called skunk. Now, similar to cat piss, right? So many people say, oh, it's cat piss, and they have a different profile. So the profile is haze is hazy, funky, the ammonia based profile, right? So that's, but then there's other people who say cat piss is, it's all cat piss, man. It's all ammonia. It's all like, that's all you smell. I go, oh, that's not what I have, but mine's also cat piss. So what kind of cat piss, you know what I mean? So I believe that there are very many different kinds of skunk. I don't really know which one I personally have. I would have to have, and that leads me to my fucking point where it's like, who fucking verifies it? Maybe I do have roadkill skunk and I just don't know that because I don't know what roadkill skunk. I swear to God, man, I'm gonna videotape if I go back. I'm gonna go smell that motherfucking skunk so I can understand that burnt rubber weird vibration it has. Because if I can smell it, then I can identify it. And if I don't, then I can't. And then what if all of us are losing strains because we can't identify it? And what if we're saying that it's something that it's not, or something that it is, and we don't even fucking know what it is? You know what I mean? So who gives us the authority, or who gives anyone the authority to say this is or isn't, right? Because most of us are going off a fucking memory from 20 years ago.
Well,
I think when
that
it comes
also
to
kind of comes back to what you were saying earlier with the everybody smells something a little different, you know. So like you might not be able to pinpoint that smell because it's not something that you could pick up on.
Yep.
Or it might smell different to
or
you
it's
than it
just
does to
not
me.
what you wanted. Like everybody's gonna go do a phenopack of, say, your seeds, right? They're gonna go for what they're going off of, right? What they want out of it, off that, you know, because, like you said, there's a lot of variation in the seeds these days. You know, you pop 5, you might get 4 different plants coming up out of it. You know, so when they're selecting that, you know, I think that's a huge part of it. It's just that individual. You and I can smell the same exact nug and smell something kind of different, you know.
100%, because you have a different platform, a different palette. You have a different experiences. You have different memories when you were a child. What something what you tag it to. So when somebody says skunk, what if you've never really fucking lived in this country, never seen a goddamn skunk or smelled one? So you're gonna think of the stinkiest like fart or some shit that you couldn't fucking remember. Like, oh yeah, I remember that fucking nasty ass thing. You know, that's probably what it smells like. You know.
That's a good point, because I do live rural, and I've seen my fair share of dead skunks on the side of the road. And believe me, you can smell them before you see them. And I've never smelt weed that I would say is even in the realm of what a skunk actually smells like. Now, maybe that just means I've never smoked skunk, and I don't think I've ever actually been told I'm smoking skunk. So that very well may be. It's a strain that I've been aware of for a long time. And, you know, I've been heard about the skunky smell that you get, but I wouldn't say I've smelled anything anywhere near that.
Well, I have something that I think I would love to share. You know, this is like one that I'm breeding with, but it's kind of like one of those ones I kind of want people to see, because I want their opinion on this one, because when I smoked it, it's kind of funny. I have a certain profile, what I like too, right? But this one tasted so raunchy and so nasty and so skunky that I didn't like it. It was like, dude, this is like skunk in my mouth, and I don't really want a skunk in my mouth. And you would think you would, because normally I want greens. I want this green, like a fucking green salamander fucking slid down my throat, and I can taste it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes after. That's what I want. But in this case, I was like, what the fuck is that taste? It just tastes like skunk, like something nasty. And I didn't like it for a second. Then I started smoking it more, and then I was like resonating. It was like an acquired taste, like bitter coffee. And I was like, okay, well, maybe if I smoke another joint, I'll like it. And so I smoked a couple of them, and then finally started like resonating with it. But it took a minute for me to actually enjoy that taste, because it was so different than what I was used to. And again, I don't know what the fuck it is. I can't even say it's skunk or roadkill or not or whatever, because I'm not a qualified expert in who the fuck is. You know what I mean? I'm grateful when somebody really can identify OG, Kush, or a train wreck, or a real true headband. Like, what does that fucking taste and smell like? Because I've literally smelled fucking thousands of plants, literally thousands and thousands of fucking plants in different tastes and smells, and grown them in different areas and different techniques, and seen so much fucking plant. And I just have never came across this profile. And that's what blew me away. I was like, So at any rate, my question to you guys is, what do you guys feel about people saying something is or isn't? Is it, how can anyone truly say it is or isn't?
I would say that's completely subjective. Like me personally, I'll be the first to tell you, like, I've got about 20 years of hard drug use under my belt. In my nose, I don't smell as well as, say, maybe my girlfriend does. When I watch certain podcasts or talk to my friends that do have a sensitive palate, and they can just like whiff something off, and they'll sit here with a laundry list of, I got this, and this. I'm just like, I'll sit there and look at them like they're stupid. And it's not that they are, it's just that, because I'm like, how do you get that? Because it's just, I'm not that sensitive. So so you make very good points of how, especially if you've never actually smelt something, like I mentioned skunk. I know what dead skunk smells like, and I've never smelt that, right? And it's like you said, maybe you just think stinky farts or something. So 100% subjective in my opinion.
Well, I'll get I'll hand 5 people the same jar, and they'll get a different smell out of it. And as long as nobody was there to influence them as far as like the opinion previous, so it's never together, obviously, they always kind of come with a different like profile of what they smell, which is kind of different than what I smell sometimes. So it's kind of weird, man. Like I said, smelling, like Caribou said, some of us have destroyed our nasal passages, and our sense of smell probably is shot, because there's times that I actually have to hand the jar to like my girl and be like, does that even stink? And she'll be like, bang, wow, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't smell anything, So, there are those of us that probably aren't good profilers in that aspect.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of grew such a hard on for ChemDog is this strain. Is because that was like, I'd grown, say, sour diesel before. That was one of the very first strains I grew, and definitely had a fuel funk to it, which I absolutely loved. But when I grew out the Chem D the first time, it was just like, wow, like knock your head back strong. And it was just like, if it can make me do that, and then I was able to actually, smell a few different things in there and just love it. So, and then the fact that one plant, you could smell that halfway down the street. That's another bonus with that.
Yeah, one of the reasons I started growing. One of the reasons I started growing is because I was getting smoke from here, there, different people, and they'd all say claim they had the same strand, and I'd smoke all 3 of them, and all 3 would taste different, smell different, look different. So for me, the whole thing about it is I wanted to know what I was smoking, so I started growing. Granted, I have a better chance of knowing what I'm smoking by growing it myself than buying it or getting it from some Tom, Dick, or Harry.
100%. And eventually some of us old timers will have some reference to what was in the past, and some of us nowadays have smoked so much cookies we memorize the taste. But eventually, guys, who knows? What if everything turns over back into an old school pattern, and then all of a sudden cookies disappears, and then 40 years from now, cookies old school, and we'll be looking for the original cookie strain. Oh, remember that original cookie strain? Everybody.
I think there is definitely some merit to that, like the original cookies and a few of the original crosses that come directly off of it. But at the same time, cookies is such a big and blown out of proportion entity in a thing that it's just like, I've always said, cannabis has always been an underground thing, and the heart of it will always remain underground, despite all these big wealthy corporations and shit like that. And I think it'll get to a point where it's just like all trendy fads. Eventually they just kind of fade.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Cookies and all that other shit will eventually fade. I think that people are going to come back to old school. I think people are just going to want flavor profiles. People are going to start being able to identify things better. People are going to start to, there's going to be a lot of new growers. There's going to be a whole new generation of people. There's so many more strains available now. There are the old school guys who still hold on to all the landrace stuff. There are a community of landrace holders. There's a whole community of people that do have older stuff and stuff that hasn't been really modified yet or worked with yet. And so there's a big chance for us for definitely a comeback. It's just, what do we choose as a community? Because what we choose, if we all choose to go to dispensaries, then you're going to find what's there, which is going to be cookies and runts and maybe some crosses of OG. But if you choose to grow, then you can find your community and you can find your fucking niche and you can find some good stuff and you can pheno hunt something specific that you love, get honed in on your love, and then share that with the world if it's exceptional. So it's kind of, and I think a lot of people are giving up on growing right now. A lot of people are giving up on growing right now because it's difficult. There's not a lot of information on how to do it. Fuck, if it cost me $800 or $300 a month to grow cannabis and I fucked it up my first month, my second month, I'm probably not going to do it. My third month, I'm definitely not going to have a third or fourth month. If I fucked everything up and it cost me that much money, no way, dude, I can't afford it. I'd rather just go buy weed. So, but the information and people like us are getting the information out. We're teaching people how to fucking grow. We're teaching people what to look for. We're teaching people what's available. We're teaching people who to fucking talk to as a community, who's cool, who's not, who's this little con artist and who's in it for the money and who's in it for the spirit, and a lot of we're getting a lot of that stuff right now. And let's just say all darkness will come to light. Right. So if you're a shady, weird ass motherfucker out there doing some stupid shit and you're doing stupid shit, bro, your shit will be exposed. But if you're a cool ass bro, just your heart's in it and all you really want to do is give, but you don't know how to give yet, find a mentor, get good at it before you start fucking up stuff and giving out stuff that doesn't work. Don't give your seeds out until you understand what you're doing with them, because you could be just giving out shit. You don't want to give out shit and spread shit. You want to spread good stuff. So look at what you got, and if it's great, then spread it out. If you love it, spread it out. You know what I mean? But I can't even say any cannabis is bad, because all of it is good. Even the stuff that doesn't have a smell. Shit, we used to fucking look for weed that didn't have a smell. Honestly, we looked for weed that didn't have a smell in the 90s. Why? Because I was growing in my fucking house. You know what I mean? Fuck, dude, I didn't want my neighbors smelling that shit, so I wanted big ass buds with no smell.
That's funny. I've never considered that point until you just mentioned it, because all everybody ever seems to talk about is, I want the biggest, stankiest shit I can find, and then it's just like, yeah, there was a time where people are like, fuck, that stinks too much.
Yeah.
There was a time that they were looking for only brown weed. If it was green, they didn't want it. Before that, like in my dad's time, if it was green weed, they wanted nothing to do with it. Wow,
that's interesting. I didn't know that either. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember that was back in the day. You fucking looked for weed that didn't smell and had big buds, and you didn't, you and that was it. And you wanted to really, then all of a sudden the let's get you the highest we can came into play. Right. That was really more of a 2000s move. It became all about THC in the 2000s. THC. Everybody get more THC. And then we realized in the fucking 2020s, the THC doesn't fucking do much. Yeah, it's one ingredient in a whole fucking myriad of ingredients that affect the high, and that the terpenes are working together. not one separately that gets you high. It's the different terpenes offer different profiles of highs. So that's a whole new fucking concept and a whole new way. And I'm just trying to help people also go from, by the way, salts, guys, salt is new. Nobody ever used like man-made salts before. That's another thing I'm trying to teach people is that salt is new, guys, and it's a man-made thing. We kind of should be a little bit more careful, because what if 30 years from now we start getting cancer or something weird because we're using stuff that was man-made, when truly we could have used the fucking old school organic shit and really just saved ourselves any kind of danger, any kind of potential danger in the future, and also just have better tasting weed. And also you can make it look just as good. It's not like fucking organic weed looks like shit. It just doesn't. And if you're growing organic under the sun, that's different, right? Everybody thinks organic weed is outside. Well, dude, you can grow organic frosty ass fucking weed indoors and have it perform if you know what you're fucking doing. It's now you're opening. It's almost like having one road on your bridge and you're feeding it salts. You're like a 2-road highway, right? Then humic acid is a really cool pH buffer, but it's almost like let me explain it this way. Organics is like opening up the road, right? So all of a sudden you have a wide freeway of food and fuel that your plant can absorb. So you just opened up the road wider. Now a pH opener, imagine right now your food that you're feeding your plant is 5.8, right? 5.8. It's required at 5.8 to 6.0, 5.8 to 6.0. Well, the plant can only absorb so much nutrients between 5.8 and 6.0. Right? It's absorbing certain things in veg, and that's why I want it at that point, because I want the best veg, and at 5.8, it's going to be the best looking veg because it's absorbing the right stuff at that looking pH, and that's why we have the pH at that level. But what if the fucking plant wanted it to be at 6.3? What if the plant wanted it to be at 7 that night? What if the plant wanted it to be at 5.5 that night? The only way because it wanted to absorb those nutrients, right? Now, how do you widen the road of nutrients into the plant so that the plant can absorb 100% of the nutrients that's available to it and that it wants to absorb at the time it wants it? It's by using, in the pH balancer is humic acid. So you can use humic acid, and I think it's sulfuric acid. Forgive me on the second one, but the first one for sure, humic acid. And this will buffer out your pH issues, right? So if you're having pH issues as a young grower, oh, my pH is off, oh, this and then I'm all fucking up, and I don't know how to adjust it. Should I adjust it before I put the nutrients in, or should I adjust it after I put the nutrients in? Or it's like, why even fucking deal with pH issues? Use humic acid. You'll never deal with it again. It opened up the freeway. Now your plant is absorbing 5.8, 5.9, 6%, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, etc. It's absorbing it all whenever it wants to, because it can. Now you're going to get different profile taste. Now you're going to get different terpene profile. Now you're going to get the 100% of your plant that you've been looking for. That's it. That's the trick of getting chronic versus good weed. Give your plant what it needs to produce. You're just a supplier of what it needs, and learn what it needs at the best level and give it to it at the highest degree with the most care and love, and be on point with it. And then you'll have what I call chronic, right? Or what people call chronic. To me, I say chronic is like kung fu. Can't call it chronic if it's not chronic. You have to be the best of the best of the best, and you know it, and everybody else knows it. Now you have chronic. And that's what when we called the fucking chronic back in the day, that was the good fucking weed. That was the $60 an eighth shit. That's the stuff that's going for $4,000 a pound, the chronic. And then the 90s, the rappers came out, fucking Snoop Dogg and fucking Dr. Dre came out with the fucking Chronic 2001. And that was all because that's what it was called back then.
First Chronic album was better.
That's true. but that was the one I remember.
You are correct. It was called Chronic. I remember that.
Fucking
That
right.
at
it
a
was.
time.
Yeah. And so yeah, man. So just the nostalgia behind all that. And that's kind of why I use the word chronic, because chronic means kung fu in cannabis language. It is the kung fu. You are the artist. You are the one. You know, you're fucking the Matrix at that point. You've done your work. Good soldier. You know, you fucking put in the time, you put in the energy, you learned your culture, you learned your art, you fucking played with for 10 years, you became great at it, you're a master. You can create chronic, because it doesn't happen over fucking night. Very few people even get good weed, smokable weed after their first grow. My first grow sucked ass. I don't even think it was smokable weed. I didn't even know what I was doing when I was drying. How the fuck do you cure weed? That's a whole art in itself. Some people use bags, some people use crates, some people will hang it for a couple days, some people use a controlled environment, some people put it in their fucking closet, some people hang it in the same fucking room that their lights are in. I'm like, how the fuck, what the fuck? I would never do that, but other people do. So many different crafts to an art, number of different styles to an art. This is not a fucking, there's not just one way in cannabis. That's what's so crazy about it, right? So, any questions so far? Sorry. Yeah, I'm on my second cup of coffee, going on my second joint. Am I good? You guys
I've
good?
said it before, man, that on this community alone, there's so many ways I've seen to grow, like amazing things that I wouldn't even conceive. Like the solo cup challenge is one, like the fact that people are pulling that off was pretty cool and amazing. So, this, like you said, there's so many ways, but, one person's grow is going to be different than another person's grow, even given the same exact cut, depending on the environment and what they do and what they give it. So I think even just every plant in itself can be different in some way, like every grow is kind of different from everybody else.
1,000%. I feel like everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different want. Everybody has a different desire. Everybody has a different momentum. Everybody has a different environment. Everybody has a different time that they could play with it. Some people, don't know how to grow weed yet. They don't know how much light to have. They're just experimenting. They're using fluorescence, or they're not using strong enough lights to flower, or they're just playing, right? I think what we're trying to create is an environment where people understand how to get to chronic, how to get to the bomb, how to get to the fucking best weed they've ever smoked. And one of the ways is, nutrients is one way. Having the right lights is another thing. Is HPS better than LEDs? Is LEDs better than HPS? Is there a difference between the two? Should I use CO2? Is CO2 does it make a difference? Does it really make a difference? How close, like one of the biggest fucking mistakes I made last season, I bought these badass, brand new, pimped out fucking Samsung diodes, all this badass shit on these LEDs, $1,600 each. I'm like $6,000 in the hole now. I'm going, fuck, these fucking lights better fucking work. I just spent a goddamn, mini fortune on this. They're recommended. All right, let's see what happens. I turn them on. I'm thinking the first thing is I got to get these fucking lights close to the plants because they're LEDs, because they're not hot. So I got to get them close to the plants. Little do I know how much fucking light is actually being emitted from these powerful motherfucking plants, or these lights. I have so much light coming out of them that I didn't understand. And again, this is my first time. I was used to using fluorescence and LEDs. You get them close to plants. I didn't think about, this is like one of those things. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about it, but the measurement of actual how much light is being emitted from that device. That's what's important. Not so much getting your lights close to your plants. Again, I came from an old school mentality where sometimes you have to learn these things, and And with the new technologies and everything else, with an HPS light, you know it. You got to keep it at 6 feet off your plants, 5 feet off your plants, 3 feet. You're cutting it close, But HPS 1,000 watty, dude. You got to kind of keep it fucking kind of high off your plants. Got it. Learn that from the get go. But LEDs, that was a whole nother world. I was like, LEDs, what the fuck? Do I put them close? Do I put them par? Are they strong? And I just didn't understand it. So I ended up squatting all my plants. What's called a squat. For me, I call it a squat. It's when you put your lights so close, it's so much light that literally your plants don't even grow anymore. They literally, their nodes are so small that it's literally like you squatted them, like you put like 100 pounds of pressure on top of them and just squatted your plants, and now they all grow weird and they. When you put the light far away from them, they stretch out, right? They'll stretch out and get all lanky and weird, and they don't get enough light. It's the very opposite when you give them too much light. They get fat, squat. They won't grow up. It'll take fucking years for them to even get, 5 inches, because they're just growing at such a slow pace because you're just crushing them. So I had learned that. Unfortunately, I almost fucked up my whole garden my first round with that. So these are just mistakes that honestly cost me thousands of fucking dollars. And then my next mistake right out the fucking get-go was seeds. I ended up getting a seed badge that I didn't want. I was planning on having this garden perform for money for me. And I ended up fucking having a Hermy issue. And again, it wasn't that there was a tendency for this plant to Herm. I took a chance with it. I didn't see anything on there. I thought I was through the woods. And nope, I was wrong. I didn't see it. It was on the very, very, very bottom. And it was a weird situation. It was just one of those plants that you just take a chance on because it's so fucking good. And you're just like, man, I really hope it doesn't. And I took a stupid risk. I didn't see it. It happened. My whole fucking garden got seeded with something I didn't want it to be seeded with. Now the seeds are still cool, but they're Hermy seeds. And I don't really want to use those in a project, because now that plant may pass along its traits. And that's just, so to me, I fucking pretty much threw away all those fucking seeds. I mean, thousands and thousands of fucking seeds that otherwise I could have given them away. I kind of threw them away because I didn't want to infest the culture of cannabis with stuff that I didn't feel good about. And I don't want to just give out a Hermy fucking, sometimes if something selfs on itself because of a light leak, that's different. Then you kind of got blessed. It's kind of, then it's like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, I actually got a seed. Oh my God, like a self seed. Oh my God, I'm fucking stoked. I got the cat piss, the self on itself. I didn't have to, and so maybe it had a light leak or something weird happened and I forced a Herm on it. Now, a plant that, now another misconception is fucking people just don't understand that, at least the majority of us don't understand that all plants Herm. Every goddamn marijuana plant that exists to this planet and today and ever in the future will have a tendency to Herm, has a trait to Herm. Every plant does. And it's now, how sensitive is that trait? And can you trigger that trait easily by stress, by any kind of stress, period? That's what causes the Herm, the stress, whether it be food, whether it be light, whether it be too much, too little, whether it be fucking, all that stuff causes a plant to Herm. Now, some Hermy situations are beautiful. Some fucking are devastating. If it Hermed a little tiny bit, some people are worried about Herms. Like, what happens if all of a sudden I had a light leak at the end and I see these little balls, but I'm at the end of my harvest? Should I be worried? Well, technically no, because you're not going to get it seeded out at the end of your harvest. It takes 3 weeks to a month and a half to mature seeds. So just depending on the plant and whether it's grown indoor, outdoor, or what kind of nutrients. So no, you probably won't be affected by it. If it's a last minute Hermy situation that happened and selfed on itself, or something weird happened, or you fucked up and you stress your plant out somehow. No, you won't be affected by it seed-wise. Now, if it happens in the beginning, be fucking careful, dude. It's devastating. You go from selling cannabis to, $2,600 a pound, something to, everybody's at a different level of it. Some people are, 22, 26, 32. I hear it all over the place. But whatever you're selling it for, it just now drops $600-$700 a pee. Now all of a sudden you just lost almost all your, a huge piece of your, half, almost a third of your value is gone just because now you're seeded up. You still have chronic, but you have chronic with seeds, and people still trust you, but you got seeds, you know. Now they may look at those seeds as gifts, but some people look at them as fucking, no, dude, I don't want seeds in my weed. So at any rate, I'm just telling you the terrors and the good stuff about growing that I've experienced, and little things that people may want to look out for with the new technology.
Yeah, it made sense.
Am I going off on too much of a tangent, or are we good?
No, you're good,
Nope.
man. Keep her going. It's yeah, no.
You're full of stuff, man. Just spit it all out.
Prophet's just happy to have the morning off.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you know
I
what?
appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Actually, yeah, I didn't want to take over. You know, I know I'm new here, so I just, so again, please jump in at any time, anybody. I love the feedback and also the back and forth. But
I'm one of those people. I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I'm thinking of questions. Then by the time I go to jump in with one, I've already forgotten what they were. So I'll have like 2 or 3 kind of lined up, and then I'll just be like, "Fuck, I just forgot all of them."
That's all right, brother.
Start writing this shit
It's the
down.
nature of the game, man. Nature of the beast. Yeah, I hate that, dude. I really hate when I'm on a fucking good one and I'm like trying to get to a point, and I'm like, and then at the very end, I'm like, what the fuck was I just talking about?
Well, I'm terrible
All
for
the
that
time.
because for some stupid reason, I feel I've got to give as much detail as possible. So I'll start with a whole big backstory that doesn't even need to be applied to the conversation, but I do it. And then by the time I get halfway through, I forget where the hell I was even going.
That's me, man. I hate that too. I gotta watch myself on that, especially on live stuff. You know, we're trying to have a point to our stuff here, but yeah. So I got a lot to talk about during breeding because I feel like so many of us give up, and some of us are not that good. And the ones that are getting better now, you know, we need to share some of our stuff with each other and really give. And if you see somebody who's struggling, you know, if you look at their grow and you go, fuck, dude, that's fucking, I hate to say it, but that's a shitty grow. Say something a little bit, but nice, you know, hey man, are you open to any advice? You might be, you look like you're having a light issue. And I don't want to be like Captain King over here telling everybody what to do, but maybe you should think about getting more light, or hey, you do, because is even identifying issues right now. I put a post up the other day, and it was on my live, my old school live, and it was a deficiency I was having on one of my plants, and I got a lot of feedback. I got from overwatering, underwatering, too much light. And then I got CalMag. I got fucking, you know, I got all kinds of shit. And I was like, it was a CalMag issue, first of all. It wasn't too much light. But the fact is that most of us don't know how to identify correctly. And it is a time involved thing to learn those things. You have to you don't even know what to look out for unless you're reading a lot. And most of us don't spend fucking hours reading. We're fucking spending hours growing, right? So when an issue comes, then we start learning about it. Okay, what the fuck is this now? Oh shit. Oh no. By that time, it's almost fucking too late, because sometimes in your garden, it takes fucking 2 days and all of a sudden you have an issue. It started one day, a little curl here, a little weird spot here. What the fuck is that? Okay, nothing. 3 days later, all of a sudden it's progressed. A week later, oh fuck, I have an issue. Oh shit, 2 weeks later, I don't know what the fuck to do. I think something's wrong. And you haven't figured it out in 2 weeks. You're almost fucking, consider yourself a month behind, because it's going to take, you know, you're seeing the symptoms after 2 weeks of it probably fucking having an issue, you know? So it's been a fucking issue for a lot longer than you think. So now you're trying to fix something that's kind of down the road. So fixing sucks. I fucking hate fixing things. Honestly, I almost just kill things and start over. Because it's a journey, or I'll just go throw it outside, because I'm like, fuck it. I fucked it up. My bad. Let nature take over. Nature always fixes everything. And why? Because it's organic, dude. It's not me force feeding the fucking plant. It's not me fucking up anything. It's not me accidentally doing something. It's nature and it's perfect. And it always fixes your fucking mess up. If, for some reason it does for me anyways. I don't know if have you guys experienced that? You ever fuck up a plant and take it out and put it outside and it looks
Hey.
fucking amazing?
Here you
But
go.
I've also fucked up a lot of plants outside too. I would say that's definitely comes into soil dependent and stuff like that. And how much are you even going to pay attention to it? Because I've left plants outside and ignored them, and as you would expect, they don't perform for you.
Oh man, fucking devastating when your plant sucks, and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know how to fix it, and you really put your heart into it. And so that's again coming back to why people quit. So it's so important, guys, is not only us, but anybody who's listening. We've gotta fucking give.
You mentioned that constructive criticism earlier, and it immediately made me think of my very first harvest, which was Purple Kush, Sour Diesel, and White Widow. I had one of each, and it was spider mite infected, and it just, as you'd expect, it wasn't the best looking stuff considering it was grown under, I think, like a Blurple LED and like a Sunblaster T5 LED or a T5 fluorescent, and with maybe a few CFLs thrown in there for added light. It was nothing special. But anyways, when I had it in the jar, I don't even think it got cured. I was just smoking right away. And the guy that I would normally buy weed off, if he comes over to watch fights or whatever, and I'm proud to, hey, this is my first crop. I show it to him. And I remember he opened up the jar. I think he whiffed at it and just kind of just, wow, that, like, he didn't say anything, but just kind of, oh, that ain't shit. And just left. But I wasn't hurt by it at the time because I knew it wasn't great weed. I'm not a fucking dummy. I can tell good and bad weed. But this is my first crop that I'd ever grown, so I'm proud of it. And like I'd shown the same guy this same night, my little closet where I was growing at the time. And I had a plant that was really struggling. I remember I was asking him for advice, and this guy he would forthcome with none of it. And it was just like, it fucking sucks because this guy was like an uncle pretty much, like through in-law family relations. And he grows killer fucking weed, man. Like this, he knows his shit, but just it's that underground fucking culture where and going back to like the prohibition days where it's like, you keep your mouth shut and you don't say nothing. But it's like, that was my very first crop about, it's 4.5 years ago, somewhere around there. And it still took me about another year after that, maybe 1.5 years before I could actually start producing quality product that I would actually be proud of to show off. Now, imagine if this guy right away would have been like, looked in my closet and been like, okay, this light, it's not the right light, or even say I was using HPS by then. I can't really recall. I don't think I was, but say, okay, it's getting too hot in there. You need this kind of airflow. Get rid of that shit nutrient line and try something like this. And just, be that dickhead that you sometimes need somebody to be, and just, because they know what they're doing. And I didn't get that. So I'm crying about it.
Interesting thing is that reminds me of a story. I went to this hydroponic store, and you would feel that in a hydroponic store, that's the place to ask every freaking question you can ask, right? And get all the right answers you're hoping for, right? And one of the guys in there gave me this attitude, and I was like, and it's very rare because almost 99.999% of people are very giving, and especially those kind of situations. But this guy must have had a bad day or something weird happening in life, and who fucking knows? Everybody's different, right? But he gave me this attitude of, he says, can you stop asking me questions? I'm not going to give you all my secrets. And I think he somehow verbally said something very similar to that. And man, did I fucking just have this feeling of like, what the fuck just happened? I can't fucking believe that you would actually say something that to somebody that actually cares about growing and learning, that you would actually be so fucking prideful and such an asshole to hold back information, and especially if you fucking work in a place, in a community environment where you should be very happy to give that kind of information. And man, it blew my heart, and it broke my heart in a lot of ways because I respected the guy so goddamn much. I was like, wow, fuck you, fuck you and fuck you. And that's how I felt. And honestly, I didn't even look at the guy in the eyes. Every time I went there, I just kind of ignored him and just like for like 6 months. And ironically, I somehow one of my friends knew him and they all kind of were buddies. So I was like, well, maybe I'll give him a second chance, and then I kind of softened up a little bit, and now we're like actually buddies, and we see each other at a total different respectful level because he is a pro, but maybe he just, again, everybody has a different vibe. Everybody has a different day in their vibe, or their vibe in their day. And sometimes we have a shitty day. So don't judge everybody on a shitty day. Judge them on their life. You know what I mean? On their weeks, on their months. But I would say that let's as a community, let's try to respect the fact that there are some fucking real beginners that will be kind of annoying right now because they're kind of asking all the stupid little questions that we're like so far past that we're not seeing what they don't see. You know what I mean? Because they're the ones that are fucking struggling with just light. Like, what am I doing? Why am I feeding? I'm feeding this and that and that. And I'm looking at my plant. It looks like shit. And I just don't know what I'm doing. And I'm just like, I feel so bad for those guys. Like, I'm looking at their grow going, dude, look at the veg that you have. Even your veg sucks, dude, like really badly. And it's not like they're stuck because they're sucky people. It just sucks because they don't know what they're fucking doing yet. And we all, dude, how many fucking sucky gardens I've had. I've eaten shit. I've had bugs. I've had mold. I've had thrips. I've had fucking white flies, black flies. I've had fucking stuff I don't even know. Ants one time fucking came and dropped all these little black bugs off. I forget what they're fucking, these little sucker things on. I had light issues, nutrition issues, fucking, CO2 fucking issues. I had humidity issues. I didn't know whether to bring my humidity up or down during certain areas and times. I didn't know how much to feed, when to feed. I mean, there is so much that goes into chronic that it's almost overwhelming. It's like doing a home loans for somebody your first time, understanding your income, your debt, your ratios, your LTVs, your loan to values, your this and that. I mean, it's like, and then your title and this. And I mean, once you finally, holy shit, I mean, there's just so much to think about in the process. But then all of a sudden, one day you wake up and you're like, oh, I get it. That's the moment where it all begins, really, or kind of begins in a different way. You graduated. Like you said, it took you a fucking year and a half to get to chronic, or to at least something that you were proud of. And that probably wasn't even chronic yet. You probably had to go through another couple sessions. Usually about your third, fourth, fifth session, you're kind of getting better, if you're really going after it.
I would say that's probably correct. It's, because that first one I'm talking about was the chem dog I was yakking about earlier, right? And it was just like, wow, okay, this is what I'm doing. And that's definitely not the best plant I've ever grown to date. That was just the attention getter. That was like, okay, I can do this now. But another thing I'd have to say is genetics play a huge role in that too. Because it's I'm not going to talk anybody down, but the company that I got the first few strains from, I would kind of, having tested out from a bunch of different seed vendors, I would consider them kind of like about a Toyota level. Whereas this, where I got the Chem Dog from, a couple steps up, because I've tried a few of their genetics now, right? And they're just a little bit better. But you know what? I've tried other genetics that are even a step above that. So it's more shit to think about when you're talking about playing with breeding and growing.
Yeah, right.
And
so let's just
say
say
matter. I think a lot of the reason for smoking shitty weed back in the day is because you just didn't have a choice. These were the seeds you had to grow, because we didn't have the internet where you can go and get old school chronic seeds or ethos genetic seeds or Irie genetic seeds. It's just, but now there's so much out there. Like I've talked before about the first time I walked into a grow store that actually was selling seeds, and it was like, holy shit. They did that. They would have no idea that was around back then.
Man, it was so fun. I remember specifically when all these seed companies started popping up, and all of a sudden the word got out that you could get seeds. And then, man, I swear to God, I think I spent dude, I must have spent like $6,000 just on buying seeds. And it wasn't like I was buying packs and packs of seeds. I would buy 1-2 seeds here from you, 5 seeds from this one. This one was sold out. I have you on a waiting list. I mean, I had fucking 5 different, 10. Literally, I went out and found every fucking breeder list that I could ever find on the internet. Dissected every fucking goddamn strain every night. I would walk through every single one of them up and down and found out what breeders are doing, who was good, how much was the most expensive, who was the cheapest, what's the shittiest, what's the unique stuff, what's the prettiest, what the pictures look like. I mean, I was just obsessed with it for fucking months and months and spent all my money on it. And then finally, it was like an artist that collected all his colors for his palette. And then I started opening up stuff. And I was like, whoa, this one's cool. Oh, wow, that one's bad. Oh, look at this one. Oh my God, that one's purple with pink pistils. Oh, and then the cool thing about it when at that particular time was interesting because you were able to still tap into some old school stuff at that time because it wasn't so just fucked with by all kinds of breeders. It only had the old school guys that really probably had all the old school that were real breeders, because you had like the Nirvanas, the California Cali something whatever. There was a certain Josh Dog or Jade Dog or some shit like that. There were certain guys that they were selling their seeds on at that time where you knew that they were new as well, because everybody was kind of new to selling seeds. So they were putting their best foot forward with their best genetics, and everybody was kind of jumping on the bandwagon, and you were able to get fucking some of the coolest stuff that's out now. You were able to get some of the best stuff that's out now, and it still be authentic and good and not braided down, because it was like a guy that was part of Texas had his own genre of stuff, like just like the winery people, they had their own regions. It was a lot like that at that time, because everybody had their region that they were building up and they had their stuff. And when the seeds first came out, everybody was on. Nowadays it's like, well, runts crossed with double runts, crossed with skunk runts, and then some cherry runts, and then a little bit of OG and cookies in there too. And then it's like, okay, cool, but the fuck else is there? You know what I mean? And so now that's all you see. If you look on every single breeder's list, it's almost like the same shit mixed into the same shit that was mixed into last year's shit that was mixed into this stuff here. And that's okay, because that's what we do as breeders, right? We want to better our stuff. So we do fucking do a lot of that stuff. We do take old stuff that we have in our genre and our paint repertoire, and we mix it with something new and try to revitalize it. So that's part of the process of breeding. But it's what are you mixing? What paints are you mixing? What genres are you mixing? What are you fucking doing? You know what I mean? And are you picking the right stuff for the right paint that you're trying to create? You know what I mean? So there's as much, like you said, genetics are very fucking important, more important than you really think. Causes issues, untested, mutations, bullshit. But really, it comes to taste. What are you going to end up with? And is this something that you like? So that's for me, where I come from. I try to test it with people smoking our shit, right? So I ended up sending a lot of it out for sale. And if it doesn't come back with people fucking going, oh, dude, can I get some more of that? Can I get some more of that? Hey, where's that stuff at? Where's that stuff at? If I don't get that vibe, it wasn't good enough. As soon as I start getting that vibe, I start paying attention to those strains, because I know that people are liking it. Like, oh yeah, they're really enjoying that. Okay, cool. Then let's focus in on that strain, because that must obviously be much better than all our other stuff, because everybody's liking it so much, and so that's how I kind of make some judgment calls. One of my processes to figuring out what strains work is what I like first, and then honestly what other people are saying is awesome that they love. Anything? Sorry guys, I know you guys are on mute.
I like what you were just talking about, because I mean, I'm new to this, the growing. I mean, I grew back when I was a teenager by throwing a bunch of fucking, compact fluorescent bulbs in a closet, and so but I have such a great community around me that when I do run into an issue or I have a question or something, I have like 300 people at my disposal, you know, so I'm able to hit these learning curves so much easier than a lot of people back in the day, you know, that didn't have anybody because it was so seclusive, you know. And so I'm grateful that I'm at a spot where I have everybody right there for me. And going into organics, you know, if you're doing it right, it's kind of hard to, you know, as long as you're not overdoing it, the plant just kind of takes what it wants. And I, you know, I'm really loving that. But then also diving deeper into it with people like Brandon Russ and stuff like that, where they really break it down and just, you know, it's an amazing journey that, and being able to hear people like you know what I mean, I've been doing this stuff from the grindstone, you know what I mean, I'm loving every minute of it.
Thank you, brother. That's awesome to hear, man. And sorry, give me 1 second here. Somehow my computer just turned on. Sorry about that. So yeah, man, I honestly, I'm so freaking grateful right now for the community that you guys are providing for us. Because I feel like there's a whole just bunch of stuff that needed to be said. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to have that conversation today. And we're able to say some things, you know, we're able to get some vibration out, some community vibration. Like, so, okay, let's start giving to each other. Let's start focusing on the right strains. Let's start giving. If you have one of these special strains and you know you have it, and you really do want to say share, and you don't know what to do with it, let's figure out a way to create some stability around it. Let's create a seed around it, and let's work with it and test it, and let's get it back into the community. And you can keep your clone, you know, keep that as yours, but let's try to get some seeds that are worthy of being out there into the community so that people can find lost arts, lost relics. You know what I mean? About to smoke me another fucking joint right now, guys. So I'm gonna take a break. You guys want to talk?
So now, what if you're gifted somebody, you know, and they're like, they've revered that strain for, you know, decades and stuff like that, you know.
So if they've done, like, I've got some people that are really been, God, I gotta tell you, man, the community has given most of these strains to me. The white rhino given to me, the cat piss given to me. P91 given to me, you know, Paris OG given to me. These are all classics that have been given to me. And some people are just like, here, I just want to give it out so that other people can carry it on, because I don't ever want to lose it. That's their method. That's their motivation behind it. And then I know I have something and I want to make some money off of it. Okay, well then there's a different plan for you. You're going to need to get, you can't just provide the gene, you know, or maybe you can, but let's just say in business, I always say you always get paid on your work. So if you provide the genes and you're doing some other work, then you're going to get paid bigger piece. And if you do less and all you're doing is providing the gene, well, you get paid a certain amount, but there's a lot of stuff of work that has to be involved in testing and growing and electricity bills and nutrients bills and all that stuff that goes into play. So there's a give and take, right? So if it's a business thing, I got it. But most people that have these kind of strains aren't trying to do business. At least that's what I'm finding. They're not about, I had a guy who wants to give me a 20 fucking year old clone of the original UK cheese. I'm like, what? The Exodus cheese, he believes it is, or the UK cheese. I'm like, that would be amazing to have something that old, that relic, you know. And I have other guys that are you know, are sending me some interesting old school stuff that they believe is old, that has the no gas or the no sweet in it. So now all of a sudden I'm going to be able to turn these around. And yeah, I do make a little bit of profit on these, but guys, not as much as you think. I mean, after it's done and said, I'm not selling fucking 5,000 seeds. You know, I'm not a giant place. I've sold probably 20 seeds, 20 packs, and I just made enough to pay for the electricity bill that it took me to do the project. That's fucking it. You know what I mean? So I'm getting the seeds out, but I'm doing all the work, putting my time in, paying for the energy, getting all this stuff, getting it organized, getting it packaged, getting it fucking dialed in, getting it all to you. All that takes time, energy, focus, power. And yeah, there's a little bit of payment for it, but if I'm charging $500 a pack, which I'll never do probably. I don't think I will. It's got to be fucking something that's worth that much. Like, you better have worked that goddamn strain so goddamn good that every single thing is exactly what I want, and it's exactly what you said it was, and it is worth of that. Okay, got it. If you have something like that, totally get it, but it better be fucking magic. You know what I mean? And not just claimed magic, but proven fucking tested magic that you can rely on. Like, fucking, I could throw a whole batch of seeds in a fucking room and almost every one of them is going to be perfect. That's the kind of stuff that you pay that kind of money for, because somebody did spend the time, the 5 to 6, 7 years that it took to stabilize it that well. Okay, cool. But most people just cross things. So if it's a cross, dude, fuck it. You didn't do that much work. You did a lot of work, but you didn't do that much work. If you back crossed it, okay, you're doing more work. If you back crossed it twice, well, now you're spending some time with this motherfucker. Now you're back crossing it 3 or 4 or 5 times. Okay, you've had some history with this plant now. So now it's kind of worth more. So I could see prices going up, because I think that people are hating on these breeders because, oh, you're overpricing shit. Well, yeah, dude, if you're fucking mixing runts with runts and then slashing it with runts and then a little bit of OG and cookies in there, and it's the same old shit with fucking a little bit of gelato. Okay, cool. I don't want to pay $400 a pack of seeds for that shit. But if you give me some real old school Rhino or old school Widow, or you give me some real old school fucking Headband or old school fucking, train wreck, or anything that's real that I could rely on, I might pay a little extra for that, because it's coming from a fucking trusted place, and I'm okay with that. And matter of fact, I would. But some people out there, they hate on people that sell anything more than $60 a pack, and I'm like, God damn, guys, you have no idea how much work it takes to build something correct. If it was just a quick little fix, then fuck yeah, $60 shit. I'll give away seeds. Honestly, I have so many seeds I love to give away. I just don't want to pay for the mail to give them out. And I mean, I can give fucking thousands of seeds out. Honestly, I wanted to do a fucking 1,000 seed giveaway at one time, or 1,000 pack giveaway even. But once I get my website up, we're going to do something badass like that. But honestly, I have no problem giving. I just want people to understand how much work it takes. And if I ever do charge a little bit more, it gets into the $250 arena, it's because it's worth it. And I won't sell it. I'll give it away or sell it for very cheap, a lot cheaper. Now, just keep in mind as well, my $120 stuff, that stuff's worth fucking $300 fucking a pack, easy, because it's proven and tested. I'm giving that stuff away. I really, really am giving it away because it's proven fucking fire, like every goddamn. And it's tested like a motherfucker in all kinds of gardens. And that's what I pay for, the time and energy. That's what you're paying for, the time and energy for some guy to actually focus in on his game and play a heavy game for you and do all the work for you, so you don't have to do the work. Because it really does suck when you get shit. You get mutants, you get Hermes, you get fucking non-performing stuff, you get stretchy weird shit, you get fucking stuff you didn't like, stuff that didn't taste the way it said. Oh, they said it was going to be cherry, but it ended up being orange, or it ended up being fruit, of this or that, or they said it was skunk, but it's not skunk, it's skunk with a sweetness to it. You know what I mean? When you can fucking pinpoint stuff, it's worth the extra money. What are your opinion on that, guys?
Well, besides the flavor profile, are you prepping it for stresses? That's why you can guarantee that it won't really harm me or anything like that.
You can't guarantee anything won't harm, but I do have a guarantee that if it does harm or gives you an issue, let's just say, because I can't control your environment, right?
Right.
But what I can do is I can prepare the plant to be strong and resistant, and I can not choose selection that is known to harm. Like the original cookies, the original fucking straight out cookie mints, it was known to harm. And why would I ever want to breed with that? It's just, it'll make me look bad, and it'll probably give me a bad reputation, and it'll probably, it'll look fire. But what if some fucking guy fucks his whole garden up and blames it on me? And he just feels like shit, and I'm feeling like shit, and I'm like, wow. So there's really no guarantee. You all take a risk. The best thing you can do is hopefully go with somebody who's giving you a little bit more tested gear, trying it out, seeing it, stressing it out, going through basic stress. I mean, basic stress would be a lot of light, over sometimes a little bit under nutrients, over nutrients, maybe stress testing it by pulling it down, doing that, high pruning it, heavy pruning. I mean, all that stresses the plant out. But if it's a quick herm, you'll notice it, or light leaks. That's a real big thing. People don't realize that light leaks, what a light leak is. They think that, honestly, I don't even like green light. In flower, I just don't fuck with my plants.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, just green light. Yeah. What if the AC has a little green light on it? What if my CO2 regulator has a green light on it? Cover that motherfucker.
Yep.
Old School, it's been really nice meeting you, but I got to get my day started. The wife's been nagging at me to get some stuff. I got to get going, but thank you. It's been nice meeting you. I'm going to hook up with you on Instagram, and you guys have a great rest of the show.
Later,
thanks, brother. Thank you so much for your time, my friend. Thank you for the respect, brother. Have a great day. So,
one down, 4 to go. And just for the record, my old lady just left town, so I'm good to go, fellas.
I love it. Well, let's smoke some chronic then.
So on a side question real quick, because it's coming and going every now and then as a stoner. Those trees that look like giant fucking pineapples growing out of the ground over there surrounding your yard, what are those? They're gnarly.
Are you talking about the cannabis, or are you talking about
No,
it's
a total the big trees you got that look like pineapples coming on like the ground. That what that is?
Oh yeah. Those are big ass bad pine. They're actually palm trees.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're fucking expensive ass palm trees.
Looks like a pineapple, man. Like half berry.
Yeah,
like every time you're walking by, I'm like, is this dude shrunk? Like, what the hell's going on? He's got a giant fucking pineapple over here. What the fuck?
You guys remember that fucking you guys remember that old some of you guys probably remember this. Remember Land of the Lost? Anybody remember
the original
that
or the remake?
Oh, the original, dude, where it's like they shrunk or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just reminded me of that when you said that.
I remember Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh.
Yeah, that too, right?
That was awesome.
So yeah, guys, I mean, it's been a fucking beautiful journey, man, and I gotta tell you, totally happy to be part of this with you guys again. You guys, I didn't realize how cool this would be. So ask me any questions, guys.
You know what? We get that fairly frequent because we try to have guests on at least once a week. We do 3 shows a week, and usually Tuesdays for guests. And it seems like Sunday is getting more and more towards guest oriented. And you get a lot of people that are shy to be on camera at first, but it's like once they get on, smoke a couple joints, and realize that it's just a bunch of fucking stoners hanging out. It's it turns into a lot of fun fast.
Yeah, no, I'll probably end up showing my face the next round. I just like you said, it's just that I try not to show my face too often, just for other reasons, you know what I mean? But
all good. That's one of the things, man. Like, is with like not everybody lives in or some people live in prohibition states. What I was trying to say. So it's not cool for them, but they're very proud of what they're doing, or they just don't want to show their face because they don't fucking want to, because they don't have to. Right? That's a good thing about modern technology. Shut the camera off. We still hear your voice if you got something to say. And like, man, you've been fucking great. Like, thank you so much for coming on. Now, another thing, I guess we touch on you coming back, because when I talked to you on the phone the other day, you mentioned the possibility of bringing some other breeders on with you one time, and I damn near shit my pants at that, because I'd mentioned how I'm trying to do a living soil panel with some of our other growers, and then it kind of made me think, and we've talked about doing like an artists panel with DP up here and other artists, and they can just sit there and talk art for a show, and breeders. That'd be nice to do as myself, someone who's like, as I say, a hobby level breeder that's starting to get his seeds out across North America, and then but like talk to people that are interested in just wanting to get into it, all the way up to guys that have been breeding for 30 plus years. I'd be so much fun.
Well, I'm really lucky to know a couple of the breeders in the community, and a lot of guys that, would love to jump on and just have a good conversation like this. So I definitely, one of them being Blue Sky Savina, the guy who potentially, well, I'll just say he does have skunk, because that's what I believe. Again, it's my opinion and my belief and what I've found. But again, and what I think is skunk, and how I, identify the profile. So he's a very controversial guy, mainly because either people believe you in this community or they don't, or and he has a very interesting story, to be honest with you. It's he comes from a very interesting, how he saved the skunk. His story comes from like, I saved skunk, and literally how he saved it, was like, it was like he jumped into a fire, because a lot of he actually was burnt from head to toe, 90% of his body, 3rd-degree burns. Wow. And he was able to manage to save some skunk seeds and different things, and survive that. And then he had some issues where it's just an interesting story, man. He's got a really cool story. I'd love for him to kind of come out and just do what I did. I told my story. Now it's time. Yep. He'll tell his story, and then we'll have a little feedback back and forth. Everybody will have some conversation, and we'll just do our thing,
Sounds like a cannabis superhero, man.
Yeah, man.
Put him on.
Right? But so again, bro, it's so fucking weird. I got a guy on my right hand that fucking hates the guy, my friend on my left hand, but I love them both. So it's kind of weird in this community how shit goes down that way. I'm trying to introduce them to each other so they can be friends, but it's weird, man. That everybody has their stand, and that's where I'm like, guys, let's just come together. Fuck, man. We can all share in this fucking wealth, dude. We all got badass shit. There's no reason to be hoarding it or hurting each other for it or with it,
Some people just don't mix, man.
Yeah, that's it, bro.
It's just people gotta, it's all about respecting the next person. You know what I mean? That goes a long way, especially in this community. It's not necessary. Yeah, you got the people out there just for the money, but I think like the true people that really truly love this plan, it's not really necessarily about money. But like you said, if somebody sat there and worked 10 to 15 years to stabilize a strain, like hell yeah, they deserve to be paid for that. Like there's no reason not to. Or some guy that's just chucking pollen and asking $350, you know what I mean, for a 6-pack. It's like, so I totally get it.
Yeah, right.
Well, actually, here's one that kind of made me laugh. Is when I first got into breeding, before I ever took my original Afghani and Chem Dog and put them together, I went out and I bought I think Greg Green's Grow Bible, and it's good. It gives you a lot of pointers for an introductory grower. But I was under the impression that pretty much every line that you buy a pack of seeds of was an inbred line that was F5, F6, or you name it, where breeders are taking 4 or 5 years to do some of these. And then when I actually came out into the scene here and started meeting people and talking to people, it's like, no, a lot of the shit you're buying is actually F1s out there, which I'm not going to knock it, because a lot of the top breeders out there, that's what they're putting out. And anybody that grows it seems to attest that this is absolute fire stuff. It's just kind of a weird realization, because as a guy that so I've only put a name to one of my crosses, and if you were to go into my seed bin, I've got dozens of crosses of seeds that I've had, but they're just written as say Slurricane crossed with my White Widow Afghani, as DP's growing that, right? Because it's just, I thought you had to take all this shit to an F4 or F5 or whatever before it could even be considered a strain, and that's actually not the case at all. So it's I know, just a weird realization that I came to last year.
Yeah, that's so true, man. I mean, such a trip, man. This seed industry, what people want to buy, what people are giving, what people do, everyone wants to get involved because they're like, oh, I want to be a breeder. And then, some of us have the environment to be a breeder, right? Because it doesn't just take a want to do it. You actually have to have some kind of understanding what you're doing, right? So you have a goal in mind, you have a project in mind, You're not just, oh, that turned out great. That's got to be great, because if it's Runts times fucking super cookies, then it's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah, okay, cool. It probably will be fucking pretty good, pretty fucking awesome. But like having a real goal in mind, okay, I want this plant to make this plant better, because and where do you start from, right? And here's another thing that I'll tell you, my personal breeding style is I always start with the female first, and I also start with the female smelling first, right? So I don't look for males that smell. I don't fucking believe in stem rubs and all that. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not 100,000%. You know, it kind of annoys me when, I hate to say it, this is my little pet peeve. It's just my own thing. When people say, "Oh, it's skunk because it smells," you know, I did a stem rub, and I go, dude, you don't know what the fuck that is until you fucking smoke it.
Yeah.
Until
you
you
remember how I was
smoke
talking about how I can't smell for shit? I struggle with the stem rub. I try, because everyone I know says, "Hey, yeah, just give it a shot." And like I can usually smell something extremely faintly there, but it just smells like green matter to me.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll smell skunky. Like I've had ones that I rubbed at times of the day, they smell like fucking like burnt rubber. I'm like, wow, this fucking stem smells like better than some of the weed in this room right now. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that fucking plant is going to smell like burnt rubber. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't even mean that plant's going to be loud. It doesn't fucking, or stony or anything. So to me, it's not a good indicator, but that's just my own pet peeve, because I want now a plant that grows good, looks good, does have a stem rub, it all kind of fun, you know, it's all parts of the characteristic of the plant. So it's not just a stem rub. To me, it's what does the plant look like? What is it growing like? Does it, because sometimes it does give off its own smell. And I had some cheese varieties where, dude, the smell on the stem was fucking crazy. And then the plant turned crazy too. So definitely have had it that way before, but I've also had it the opposite way, where my plant fucking smells like green matter, but it comes out fucking crazy, weird, gnarly ass fucking weed, you know? So again, that's just my own little thing, but shit, what were we talking about, man? That's my stoner act happening again.
Something about pot plants. I know that much.
We're talking about pot? Oh shit! I'm on the wrong show.
What show is this?
So you mentioned cheese, actually, and it made me think of about a year ago. I was having a discussion with some guy from the States that I'd met on Facebook, I think it was. And we started talking back and forth, and he said he was like about strains and how I live in a small area, hard to get good stuff up here. He was talking about UK blues and how he had some of those and was going to try and get some of those out here. And for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. Maybe he didn't send them. Maybe they got seized at the border. I don't know, but it's something I'm really interested in. So now that it's on the top of my mind here, I'm putting it out there. If anybody that's watching knows how to get their hands on some UK blues, I'm very interested in that.
Oh, speaking of what we're interested in, I'm fucking interested in everybody's white widow that has been talking about. They had a certain white widow. I'm so interested to see if that white widow compares to the white rhino, or if the white rhino compares to the white widow, or if they're very similar, or if they're totally different, or, you know, because I've been looking for a real fucking white widow.
I don't have just white widow anymore, but I have white widow Afghani F1s and five sets of F2s that if you're interested, I could send your way.
Oh wow, that sounds like the white rhino. I think that's exactly what the white rhino is.
I have a white widow feminized, but I can't send it. But I might be able to get another one. But I can find out which company it is, because I imagine every company is kind of different. You know, that's another thing that kind of tough to nail down. But I can find out what company it came from.
Are you talking about the actual a cut of it, a feminized cut of it?
No, I mean, when I pop this, I could do that. I could make a clone of it if you wanted, or if you want, I could try to acquire another seed from my boy.
I'm more interested in any kind of, especially when dealing with older stuff, just clones. It'll be easier if you already had something that you've proven and that you love and that you're willing to share. Like I have a
haven't
white
grown
rhino.
it yet. It was just given to me. And basically, I'm going to have my girl grow it as her
Awesome.
experiment, you know,
Awesome.
that she's on as White Widow. Seemed appropriate.
Well, I'd love for you guys to try out the white rhino that I have. I think you guys get a fucking kick out of it.
That's
You'd be
so
fucking-
great. That's like one of the first connoisseur strains that like I got into the
Me
early
too.
2000s. It was like I think 2002, and my buddy had gotten some black domina, and he had gotten some white rhino, and those were like the first two like connoisseur levels. And like ever since then, it kind of chased it. I think I'd gotten it one other time. You know what I mean? Where it was some actually true white rhino type deal, or at least my opinion, what I thought it was, you know. Beautiful strain.
Yeah, it is. It has the classic. I call the classic skunk taste, the Afghani skunk, the chronic taste, that 90s skunky, cool Afghani vibe. That's why when you said you had the White Widow times Afghani, I was like, I think that's exactly what the fucking white rhino is. It was just a White Widow crossed to some sort of indica that most likely was an Afghani indica. And so I was like, oh, that's fucking kind of cool. I would love to fucking try some of that.
Okay.
I do have some 1998 White Widow seeds, but I don't know if they're gonna work. And I don't. And another thing about seeds, guys. Sometimes if you have them and they're old, you might as well fucking pop them, because if you don't pop them, they might, you may lose it, and you just, I'm just gonna hold on to it. I'm just gonna hold on to it, and then you don't get to ever experience it. You know what I mean? So I've had that happen to me where I'm like, wow, I should have fucking just used them. And opened them
Sent
up.
them out, man. Like if I'm not gonna get to it, I'll end up just giving them out.
Yeah.
Like I can never grow everything I have in my lifetime because I like cloning, and shuffling, and I like to keep a couple strains I've had for like 5 years. So it's like I'm kind of limited in space, So I mean, I don't have the coverage that I would like, but unfortunately, not like you. Holy Christ, man! I wouldn't even know what to do with myself if I had that.
You would grow. You would grow a lot.
I mean, I'd be busy.
You would grow a lot. You'd stay busy. You'd have fun as fuck, dude. You would do it every fucking day, and you would have seeds coming out your ass and weed coming out your ass because you have so much to choose from now. It really is fun, dude. That's the one thing I love about this place, is that freedom like a motherfucker, and it's like I'm on my own little network. I'm not like bothering anybody. I'm not a big
I'm just
seller.
trying to be able to grow again, man. It's
I'm not trying to fucking become a millionaire on selling weed. I actually prefer to sell marijuana seeds versus marijuana itself, just because it's one, it's legal. I can sell you seeds. I can't really mail out. I could mail seeds. I can't really mail out fucking cannabis, legally. So the seed business is actually kind of a cool business in itself, because it's such an unregulated, totally cool open area that's kind of gray but yet green. You know what I mean? So it's still good. So to me, I love that about it. 100%. It's a real business. You can actually perform a business and build a business around it, but not build it for business, because if you build a good business culture, then you'll be able to supply more people and have and build some structure around your actual customer service and getting seeds out on time and having a good reputation. So that's all good about building a business aspect of it, but don't do it just for the money, right? Do it because you love the fucking art, and then build structure around your art so that you can perform at high level. That's really what I'm getting at, I guess.
Absolutely. It's like anybody that loves cannabis on that level has a niche in the community, they're talented at something within the community, and they have something to give for it. And, and that's how it all I feel just goes on that way. It's nobody really trying to ask for much, and just the next person help the next person. And that's what attracted me to this community, because everywhere else it was just everybody for themselves type deal. yeah, that does happen here, but it kind of weeds itself out.
100%, 100,000%. I think that fucking the bad people do weed themselves out. The assholes get fucking blocked. Everybody that you don't like moves on. You know, it's just when you want to fight, you know, you want to be right sometimes, and you just want to, you know, stand your ground. And sorry, my nails are pretty dirty because I'm a farmer, dude. So I'm always in the dirt. Sorry. So I shouldn't.
What strain you got there?
This is the original organically grown 15-year-old OG Kush. I wish I had a light on there, because then you'd be able to see it. Like you really could see it. Here, I'll try to go outside with it.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's beautiful looking.
I don't know if you can see across from it. Like normally I could zoom in, or I could have a light on it, or but you can't really see all the frost right now because it's not lit right. But it's frosty, smells like fucking the best, tastes like the fucking best, and it is. It's just some of the fucking chronicest fucking weed I've ever smoked. And I mean, I'm starting to see that, like somebody said, you know, that there was a level of weed that they were used to, and then they found out that there was a better level of weed because somebody else fucking sorry, I gotta plug my phone in here. Because they found out that the other person fucking grew better weed and than them. And then finally you realize that you smoked that weed for a while, and that there's a guy out there who grew even better weed than that guy. And then you're like, fuck, dude, I just literally have smoked the best weed of my life. I think I just smoked the best weed of my life. And there's moments where you actually meet the best growers of your life and the best weed of your life. And you start realizing that what the real good weed tastes like. You remember back to the 90s when like the growers back then, they just, I don't even know if they just had the right weeds, or if they just grew better, or if it was just us, our memory is like on overload and we're just making it bigger than it is. But I just remember these fucking bags of weed back in the day were just fucking good. Like it was just like good ass weed. I mean, today got some good ass weed today too. Don't get me wrong. Today's weed is fucking sorry. Today's weed is fucking goddamn good. You know what I mean? It's great. Cookies was a fucking phenomenon. I'm not gonna knock it down, dude. I've ran some great cookies, you know, and then it smelled funky and awesome and looked good, and it was loud and was sticky and frosty, and it grew right, and it was cool. And it's a strain. And the only bad part of it is that it's being overused. That's the only issue. And it's not a regulated over thing. So it can easily over dominate or polyhybrid a fucking bunch of bullshit stuff out there. And then we lose our serious, like authentic certain strains. So right now, I think the community is pulling together hard enough that I think a lot of the strains are being protected by people. There are some, and everybody's kind of a little bit scared that, oh, what if we give all our strains to one person in one place and that motherfucker sells out, and then all our stuff goes to Monsino, and then we're all fucked, dude. That's like, is everybody a bad guy? Are we gonna get nuked tomorrow? Are we imminent fucking death for everyone? You know, yeah, we did. You know, I get it. The world sucks sometimes, but there are some good people, and we should pull together and fucking make it available. You know,
I totally agree, man. Totally agree with you. I spread out. I give away a lot of clones, man. Like to my friends and everything else. So it's like we're always spreading. You know, I get clones from them. They give me seeds. I give them seeds. Like we're always spreading it out. You know, it's never worried about one person dominating over the other. It's not possible. You know, at least in my world.
Speaking of good motherfuckers, I just got a text message out of the blue from Papa Z. I've never had personal contact with him in DMs. It's just commenting on each other's messages once in a while. He in the message basically says, "Hey, I'm sorry, Papa Z. I hope you don't mind me saying this on the show, but he's watching the Grow from the Heart a while, an older episode from a while back where I had a question on there where I was asking about where I could find some of the strains I was looking for that Ross and Jeff is doing. Basically, Papa's, he just reached out and said, "Hey man, I'll hook you up with a few of those. Give me an address and some of the strains you're looking for." And I don't got a lot, but I'll do what I can. Now that's a good motherfucker right there.
Word.
Thank you so much, Papa Z, from the bottom of my heart. I take my hat off to you, because that is exactly what we're talking about right there. Same with Hurtin' Albertan. Told this story a million times. Back at the very beginning of the show, when we started having multiple people on the panel, I mentioned I was looking for some Golden Goat because that was the next thing I want to work with. Within a few days, there was a message in my DMs from the Hurtin' Albertan saying, "Hey brother, I got some Golden Goat. You want to do a seed swap?" It's like old school tape trading for music back in the days. It reminds me of that. I love it. My heart swells with love when you hear shit like that.
Yeah, man, that's not funny. It's like trading music. It's like you care to trade music, because back in the day it was all about music. It was, it was weed music, you know what I mean? You were downloading shit like crazy and trading shit like crazy. And then the internet came, and then you were really, excuse me, first you were just trading shit, records and everything. Then the internet came, and then you were downloading everything and trading shit, you know what I mean? It was like fucking nuts. But yeah, for like cannabis, man, I love trading it, dude. It's, to me, I always want to see what somebody else, like, I almost sometimes don't even want to tell people what it is, and then just give it to them and just say, "Trust me, it's great." And then you run it and you tell me what it is. Because I could tell you what it is. I could say it's white rhino, but I want you to fucking experience it, on your own, so I don't put anything in your head. And then you tell me what you're feeling from it, what you grew, did you like it? I mean, have your vibe around it. Because I feel like a lot of times I tell people what things are, and then they start smelling those things, right? Or they tell me what it is, and then I'm like, no, now I can smell it. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's influenced by what they hear almost too. So it's like having your true opinion. I love hearing, because sometimes I honestly, I wonder if people think my cat piss is cat piss. I mean, I got to be honest. I'm like, do you think it's cat piss? I don't want to be insecure little, girl over here, fucking, but I kind of, I take pride in my stuff. So I want to know what other people think. Right. So it's always a vibration of, what do you think? Oh, was it good? Was it good? Did you like it as much as I do? You know what I mean? You're like fucking little kid trying to ask him if you like.
I think that's like with any artist, right? Any type of art you're into, whether it's music, pen and paper art, any type of craft, that you're passionate about. You always feel it can be better, especially if it's coming from you. That's something that I created. I'm always thinking, oh man, and people are like, oh fuck yeah, it's the best. I'm like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? But I'm always thinking, what can I do? A little bit differently, or are they being honest with me about that, or whatever?
Yeah. And then when people give you your, the only thing that leads me to believe that I'm getting better is other people's opinion of what I'm doing. In some ways, I mean, I kind of have my own opinion of what I also do about myself. That's really the most important opinion. But it's kind of cool to hear that other people are also appreciating the same art and craft that you're appreciating, and you're starting to get better at creating, and other people are giving good feedback, because now I've got hundreds of packs out there somewhere. People are growing shit in different gardens now, and they're looking and they're having their experience. And if they're having a great experience, I'm hearing about it. If they're not, I'm hearing about it. If they're having a half-ass, I'm hearing about it. If they're a good grower, I'm watching it. If they're a bad grower, I'm watching it. So it's like I get to see my seeds perform in many different scenes very quickly. And a lot of people will come back and say, dude, this fucking smelled better than everything in the garden. And even the stuff that I paid for, it was way more expensive, or just, it's the today's stuff. And it's out smelling everything, or it's outperforming everything, or is the first one out of the in the fucking root zone. It was the first one to this. So those are the kind of feedback that I love to hear, because now you're doing something right. Like yours is outperforming.
I got several crosses of Caribou's White Widow Afghani cross that he crossed. I got the Meathead cross with it, Slurricane, Durban Poison, Super Silver Haze. I got several different crosses, and it's a blast watching all the different strains and kind of watching a little bit of the similarities within them, and just watching the differences within the same crosses. And it's a blast. It just but you can see that same kind of stock in it all, you know, and that's what's pretty exciting watching it all.
I love that too. Actually, when you just said that, I started thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? That's so true. You can see this. It's always the similar. You know, for me, it's always the dominant gene, which is normally going to be the mother gene, and you'll see everything in the mother in a little different way. You'll see the father influence almost. You know, sometimes you'll see a heavy one that leans, but it still has the body and structure of the mother, but it still has a lot of color or structure, so whatever. It'll have a lot of the male where you actually go, wow, that looks like a lot like a male. But for whatever reason, most of them I always find that most of them will lean to the mother. And that's why I do my breeding that way. I try to find things that lean towards the mother, except that I use the male as an instrument of color most of the time, of structure and vigor. What else do I use it? Bud size and yield. I'll also use it for, but I never use it for smell. Right. That's the only thing I don't use it for. I kind of, you know, if I know that the father comes from a very smelly line, I kind of know that there's going to be some influence in smell. So I'm like, okay, it comes from a really smelly line. Anyway, I know that fucking shit's going to be super loud. And I'm also going to mix it with another loud one. So I'm going to get something fucking loud. I just don't know what now because the expressions are going to go nuts. So, you know, okay, cool. I get that. But my focus isn't the smell on the male. It's normal. But sometimes you need it to be. Because sometimes you find a female that is fucking just awesome, but it just doesn't smell good. It was the best looking, biggest, colorful, baddest bitch in the garden. It smells good, but it doesn't smell like a goddamn, you know, it doesn't have an aura of smell. It just smells good. If you break it open, you can smell it. But it grew the best, outperformed everything else in your garden. Best color, best looking, best structure, best weight, best everything, but it doesn't smell good. Now what do you fucking do? Now you have to find a male that you're just know that it comes from the smelliest breed that you've ever smelled in your life. And it's just a beast, and you're praying and hoping that it performs. That's it. You're stuck. That's your only option. And I have a strain like that. And I'm like, fuck, I got to find the most smelliest, nastiest shit and breed, and then pray and hope that the male carries over some dominant smell genes. You know? Sorry, did I just show you my room?
That actually, you actually made me start thinking in a totally different way about breeding and like how you like isolate certain things from like the female and the male and everything else. Like you just said, like for vigor, you're going after the male genes and everything else, and yield. So, you know, I never thought about that before because I don't breed. So the thoughts.
No, that's perfect, man.
But that's cool, man. That's definitely something new I've learned.
Cool, brother. Well, that's awesome, man. I love that feedback, brother, because that helps me too. You know what I mean? So that's perfect. Anything else, guys? I know it might be getting late for all of us. We're all chit-chatting and shit, and we're all stoners, but we probably do want to, you know, if you got shit to do, let me know.
I'm honestly, I'm drawing blanks off the top of my head. This has been an awesome session. I can't wait to get you on for a round two, especially if we can get some more breeders in on that talk. And actually get into some of get really more into depth into having our own personal practices and stuff like that, and what we're each looking to do, where we're looking to go with our own projects, where we'd like to see ourselves 5 years or whatever, you know, et cetera, all that good shit.
Yeah, brother. Well, let's do this then. Let's get another session going, one for us, and then two with some new breeders, and we can just get some, and then it could be focused around them too. You know, they could be the focal point, like you made me the focal point. You know what I mean? I can be there asking questions, or not even be there. I can introduce you to a couple also cool people that would have good things to say and a lot of stuff to say, and people know who they are. You know what I mean? And like there's another guy named Microbe of shit, forget his his whole title, but it's something microbe. But he's got like, you know, tons of thousands of followers, and everybody, you know, follows him, and little things he says makes a big difference because he's just got all the fucking interesting strains, and just people like that that have a lot of, and he's willing, I'm sure, to jump on. Man, in fact, you know, there's a whole debate of even Kevin Drudgery, whatever his last name is, coming on and having a talk with Blue Sky too. There's a whole debate on, you know, where Skunk came from. Was, you know, is Kevin hiding something? It's just weird stuff, dude. But it's kind of interesting to hear the story from one of the guys, you know. So there's little stuff going on, little drama scenes going on, but but really affect the culture, and the not only the culture but really the kind of strains that are available to people. You know what I mean? If things are being hidden, or if things are not being given out when there should be, um, or if they're being hoarded, or if they're being trying to be commercialized, you know. And you know, it's just like, dude, there's a whole scene of things going on sometimes that you're like, wow, I didn't even realize that those things happen in communities, you know, where it's supposed to be a giving community, but now we have this struggle of business and being friends, you know, and keeping them separate, keeping church and state. So there's those kind of conversations that will pop up, and those are important conversations for the community, so that we realize, you know, who the good guys are and who the guys are that well, just kind of in it for themselves. Because once you figure that out, then, like I said, all darkness comes to light eventually. So you'll know who the guys are that you want to play with, and the guys you don't. And sometimes I mean, I've had a guy, I don't even want to mention his name, to be honest with you, but he was a hero of mine in the cannabis. I looked up to him, and I really won't even say his name. I want to so bad, but I don't want to because that's just a disrespectful thing to do. So what I looked up to him because he was the guy who I thought was the scientist around cannabis. Like, he had something to say. He was so fucking interesting. You know, I would listen to his little live thing all the time. I would wait for it. I would, you know, just jump on it and listen to it. And I was a young breeder, and he had so much information about history and about this and that. And I was so captivated, you know, and everything he fucking said. And then finally I found a strain that I was so fucking interested in, that truly was his most valuable strain that he had ever found. But I had found a different source in a different way, and he had already lost it. And I found something, and it just felt like my hero. And it totally was like one of those weird little kid moments, you know, and I totally grew up from it, but it did hurt, you know, for a quick second. I realized that I was over idolizing these personalities in the breeder community, because I was a young breeder myself, and I wanted to fucking know as much as I could and grow as fast as I could and be as badass as I could. So I wanted to learn from the guys who fucking really knew it. And then when the fucking guy was put to the test in the category of like strain, right? Like verifying a strain, he didn't, not only do I feel like he didn't show up, not only did I feel like he didn't give a fuck, I felt like not only did his posse not give a shit about it and his whole crew, but everybody just didn't even care about growing. See, like they looked, one guy looked at a strain I had that wasn't grown right, was given to me. It was the clone of something very special that had been gone for 40 or 20 years, 20, 30 years. And somehow, some way, I'm fucking getting this thing. I'm like, God damn, how do I get these fucking crazy ass fucking strains? Well, it was like a really important strain for the city. And these guys they're making $400 for 6 seeds off of this strain. And I was just like, dude, seriously, nobody even fucking cared to grow it. What if it was the fucking original, right? So what if it was the motherfucking original goddamn strain that came from 20 and it really somehow got in my hands? But you guys, the fucking heroes of the game, the ones that fucking should be verifying it anyways, didn't even take the time to take it from a man who does not grow good weed. I grew good weed at the time. That could probably have actually been connected to somebody who could actually have gotten it somehow, some way. They didn't take the time to grow it out themselves to fucking verify it. To me, that was a total letdown, total bullshit, total like what the fuck, guys? This is supposed to be a, well, you know, just because I felt they were personally motivated, maybe this is my vibration around it, but I just didn't feel like the heart was there. And that's what broke my heart. I was like, man, the commitment to the fucking game wasn't there that I thought should have been there. So you're in it for the money, you motherfucker. You broke my heart and you fucking broke my spirit on this fucking game. Now I understand that there's assholes that just want to be in it for the money. And I just feel like you really weren't here for the fucking strain, dude, because it could have been something special. And what if it was? And then, guys, fucking believe this or not, this is real fucking vibe. This is a real story. Yesterday, I'm hanging out with the guys who could have truly verified it. Have never met them before, but one of the motherfucking guys who actually grew it in his motherfucking, he was one of the growers. And he looked at the fucking shit that I took pictures of that I grew out while we're smoking. Well, he's not able to smoke anymore because, he's just not able to smoke right now. So we weren't able to take part, but we were all chilling out, fucking doing our thing with the trimming and everything else and having fun. And the bro fucking looked at my pictures and goes, yep, that looks pretty much like it. He goes, yep, he shows me a colored picture of the real P91, he showed me a picture of that real strain. And honestly, from there, I showed him a picture of mine. He's like, yep, looks the same color. He says, well, let me show you the veg. Let me show it to you in veg. Yeah, that looks like it could be it. The only dude who actually grew the motherfucking, not the other dudes, not anybody connected to that posse. This is the only one cool dude that I've seen connected to. Everybody else is into it for their money, their community, the bullshit word for the community. This guy was actually the guy that was just growing it, and he's like, I fucking lost it, bro. They raided my fucking house, they raided the whole deal. They raided all my bros. They raided 36 houses or 24 houses or some shit like that, and all on one day. And it was gone that day. That strain died that day. I think that's the day it died. I don't know. I'm sure it probably was out there, he's saying, but I haven't seen anybody with it. That's what he's saying, and there's probably one guy who had something similar. Maybe he did have it. He said it was grown real shitty. So we used to call it P85, because it was like not 91, he was bagging on it, kind of like fucking saying it was shittier because it was P91, but it wasn't grown right. So that was his last time he saw it. And that was the strain that he didn't invent, but he definitely was he's definitely part of the crew that made it important, and got it out. And so with all that said, that vibe, I was like, wow, the one motherfucker. And I not only do I lose the mother 3 months before I meet this guy, so I fucking finally lose the mother. I give up on it because my heart got broken, one, and I totally give up on the strain. Now I did work with it, so I did a lot of work with it. So I'm gonna say something about that in a minute. But so it's kind of saved in some ways. But the original mother I had let go. It just died. I just like, I'm just gonna give up on this thing. So nobody else believes me. Nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. I'm like, fuck it. It takes too much energy to have a plant growing that is good, but isn't as good as it was probably 20 years ago, because I didn't ever have it I wasn't growing it the best. I wasn't just focusing on it. It wants to be focused on. It should be an easy grow, but it still wants to have it to be cooler, I believe. There's a certain temperature that it loves or it won't be happy, and so with that said, all that fucking growing happened. All that potential, all that situation happened. I breeded with it. I saw what its babies look like. So when you could see what the babies look like of a fucking plant, that's when you know what the mother and father were like. What's the fucking saying? A seed doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, that means that the seed's gonna be just like the fucking tree in many, many ways. So I was so excited. I got seeds off this bitch. I was like, at least I'm going to get fucking seeds off this bitch. And I'm going to see what she looks like when she's young, right? I saw what she looked like when she was a grandma, 20 fucking year old clone, barely performs. Root systems are fucking deteriorating, just need to be revived. It just was old. And I was like, dude, poor thing, you know. I mean, it just needs to be in the perfect condition, or it just doesn't want to be happy right now because it's just been through a lot. So, and back then it was always grown under HPS and hydroponic because that's probably all you had back then. And nobody ever grew under fucking anything else. There was no LEDs, you know what I mean? So it had a certain way it wanted to grow but it was easy grow. The guy told me it was an easy grow, dude. If and it was a fast fucking mature. It says these are characteristics that if you knew you had it, you know you have it. It was like it wasn't a 60-day, it was like a 45-day mature. It was like ridiculously fast. It was like overnight mature, done. And it was the best smelling weed. It was the loudest. And the rosin he just gave all these descriptions, right? And they matched everything. I matched per bite and everything he was talking about. And I would tell him, oh, look at this, look at that. And as we go through all these descriptions, I finally plant the fucking baby seeds. And holy motherfucking Lord Jesus, God damn, motherfuck. That shit was loud. Like I've never smelled a plant yet like that. Like, whoa, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck is this? You know what I mean? It was like you found something. Like, holy fuck. And it was so fucking loud that you couldn't even get around it for 4 or 5 feet, dude. You smelled that plant. Like, you walked into its aura of smell. It just stunk. And if you walked past it and touched it, just slime your hand and your arm. Just, oops, I fucked it. Because sometimes I would be trimming around it and my arm would accidentally back into it and I just get slimed by the plant. And so that's how the babies fucking look. So I'm going, oh my God, maybe this really was the one. Because if the babies are that loud, this is what everybody's been crying out loud, saying, oh, it's the loudest plant in the fucking garden. It's the loudest plant. You're going to know because it's the loudest plant. And this one wasn't the loudest plant in the garden when I grew it. But its babies were louder than anything I've ever smelled. So I just go, dude, it was just had to be fucking, the vigor just goes out of a plant, or it gets used to getting grown in a certain way, or especially if it's a clone that's actually that fucking old. So, and it was confirmed, finally, it was fucking confirmed by a guy who actually grows and knows what the fuck he's doing and actually grew it out and made it popular and pretty much said it. I mean, he didn't say it by saying, yeah, that is it, because he can't. But he said, that's pretty much it. I mean, it looks like it. That's what he said. You know, that he did say. So that to me is enough to say, fuck, maybe it was. Can't even verify. Maybe it was a cross. Who fucking knows? But the fact is that the community, this particular person fucking let me down. That's why I believe that I don't want to do the same thing to another dude. Because what if that fucking guy, poor guy, what if somehow he gets, dude, I've literally had this situation happen. And I swear to God, this is a real story. So grandpa has this OG, had it for his whole adult life, right? Imagine him. He just passed away. And not my grandpa, but some guy's grandpa. He just passed away, had this OG, this is original fucking badass weed. Don't even know what it is, but he had it all his adult life. He fucking passes away. All he leaves is some seeds that he had from it to his nephew or to his kid or some shit like that. His kid ends up having kids, so he can't grow it. So his kid ends up giving it to his nephew, and his nephew has fucking a situation where he can't grow anymore. So he ends up giving it to his buddy, and then his buddy fucking ends up his buddy ends up being friends with my buddy. And I swear this is a real chain. And then the seeds literally get passed down to my buddy, and since they're best friends, he made him literally he was all drunk at his house, said he had these seeds. He made him go home to his fucking house. This is my friend now. He made him go to his fucking house, pick those fucking seeds up, and bring him home to him so that he can have them. And that's all fucking drunk. You know, that's how fucking faded they were. And he did. He fucking said, get the fuck out of my house, dude. You have to go home right now and go get those fucking seeds for me. And he told him, and he did. And he drunk as fuck. He went home, got those seeds, brought them back to him. Then my friend tells me, because I'm his favorite breeder right now, so he's my friend, and he's like fucking telling me, dude, I fucking love you, bro. I love you. I want you to fucking grow these things out. And then I'm like, tell me the story. And he told me this fucking story, and I'm like, dude, you gotta be fucking kidding me. These seeds actually got to me, and I'm growing them out right now, and they're pretty fucking badass. And I'm like, wow, I haven't fully grew them all the way through, so I don't know what they are. I don't know if it'll be great. I don't know anything except for the story. And the guy has so many strains, bro. He's got more heart in this game than 99% of the people. You know, it's like, fuck, he's just like all marijuana heart. So, you know, he's just like, he's the hunter, dude. He's just like, this guy's like fucking so intense when it comes to cannabis. It's like I'm like, dude, you need to be working in this industry. Like, you fucking love this weed too much. Like, you are a fucking dick. Like, if there's an addiction, dude, you have it, bro, because you're a seed addicted motherfucker. Like, he had to have every goddamn seed that I had, even in my private collection. He fucking flew to fucking meet me, spent his birthday with me, fucking, and asked me to show him back end stuff that I'd never shown anybody, and I did, dude, because he was so cool. And I was like, dude, for sure, bro, you're cool as fuck. And we just built a friendship, and before you know it, you know, he got to take a bunch of stuff, and I was happy to give it to him, because he's the kind of bro that I would fucking give it to. You know, somebody that I know is gonna. Now he has a fucking badass new house, and he's got like 4 new rooms, and he's building them out, and he's doing this whole thing, and I'm just so happy to give it to him. I'm like, dude, that's the kind of bro that I want you to fucking love this stuff. Go fucking go play in the candy store, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
I know
one
we
of
get
my
into
favorite
the
things is
oh.
to do is talk shop online strains with see what's out there. What do you want next, kind of thing.
Oh man, dude, I love that. Yeah. What do you want next? Yeah, that's a great one, dude. What the fuck do you like next? What are you liking right now? What do you really truly enjoy? I want to get the public opinion. Like, what the fuck do you really want? What is most people want right now? Do we really want runs? Is that what we want?
Not me personally. I've ever since grade 5, and this is like everything, including cannabis, I've always bucked the trend and gone against fads. Everything from fashion to music to this or that, and it includes cannabis. Now, when I hear about like Runts or Mac 1, like, don't get me wrong, I'm interested and would try them, but I am not going to desperately search out those strains to grow as a grower. It's more like I'd just rather wait those come to me. I'm more kind of looking for certain traits. Like I've mentioned before, I'm a big fuel fan. And we were talking earlier about like sweet taste. Well, there's definitely a spot for those as well. I like to have a few different strains on the go at once. So it's just kind of right now, what I want to do is try and get back to my Gorilla Skittles with I had a cut of that smelled like baby shit. Any people are probably sick of hearing me.
What's that?
My life. And I think I do have some possible Herm seeds. They might be from Light Leak. They could be from I think it was an Alaskan Thunderfuck or a Ghost Train Haze I had. Either one or both of those went really fucking hermaphroditic on me. I fucked up a lot of shit. And but anyways, I got some of those Gorilla Skittles, and that's kind of, if I can't find something good breeding out of there, because if they do turn out that they do herm on me under stress testing, then I got to get back to find something where I can try and sort that out. So something that smells horribly like shit, but also the sweetness in there. That's where,
you know, and that's interesting that you want both, right? You want the shit and the sweet. Yeah, and I've smelt that, bro. I've definitely, you know what reminds me of that is the strawberry cough. Strawberry cough is shit and sweet. It's skunk sweetness. You know, you definitely smell that cherry, but dude, you smell that OG funk. Or you know what? Sorry, I had a cross of it. Apologize. I just remembered as soon as I said OG. I had it. It was called it was some fucking old school OG or some shit crossed to the strawberry cough, and it really did taste exactly like that. It had that funk and it's sweet. That funk, that skunk and sweet. And that just reminded me of what you just said right now, because there's not a lot that that have those two distinct tastes, but they're very separate in the same unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's actually, and also as a guy who's into breeding, where my fascination really comes in with that plant is to look at it growing. It wasn't bad, but it was always smaller buds. The bag appeal after trimming was like, it pretty much looked like shit, but you open it up and the smell factor is there. And then when you puff on it, the kick in the head is definitely there. So it's like, how do I get back to that? Now we've talked a bit about how breeding with her, with known hermaphroditic traits, fuck, that could wreck a guy potentially, right? As a starting off breeder. So I've been really scared of that. But if, to be honest, we mentioned talk about where we'd like to go, what we want to work with. That's what I want to get to. And, and then play with that with a bunch of other males and just see what you can come up with. Start with the baby shit base. And so where can you roll from there?
Baby shit. Where are you getting that out of?
It's a Gorilla Skittles cut that I had. I came from my buddy Myrtle Man on Cannabis. I don't recall where he got the seeds. It's just he buys a lot of seeds and he'll usually give me one or two per pack when he does. And it was something I wasn't even particularly interested in growing. I just popped it because, fuck, we're going to pop a bunch of seeds today sort of thing. And it had the wow factor, but it needs some work. Like if I could increase the bag appeal to that and bulk it up so it's actually bigger, fatter nugs, like that could be amazing. Like I've heard Jeff talk about how his Arise male that he uses for a lot of his crossing, that one seems to have, it seems to bulk up and make everything bigger and better than it already was. So if I could take the, like say an Arise male that has something like quality like that and cross that with my, with the Gorilla Skittles, then maybe I would actually get to that objective where I'm looking for. Or something completely unintended that is just as amazing, or something that sucks.
Exactly.
Less likely.
I just love that baby poop smell. That it's just, I know it's like wet mop baby poop kind of vibration. And I'm used to that growing into an Afghani taste, or curing into an Afghani taste. At least that's what I described actually the white rhino as. There's like that, it has a baby poop, weird wet moppy smell at first, and then it completely cures into skunky white rhino. But when it's wet, it has this almost like a tail end citrus bite of skunk. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really just loud as freaking hell and frosty as hell, and just grows thick. Like you could tell it's the 90s weed, because you could see that somebody built that plant to grow big buds, big. And unfortunately it was one of those, is when I think taste was coming into the scene, and people were starting to get more okay with growing weed. It was just like, fuck it, there's more growers. As soon as High Times hit, dude, everybody started growing. Fuck, I don't even know if you guys remember this. In High Times magazine, there was something called fuck, what was it called? Oh my god, a Phototron. Does anybody remember the Phototron? It was in the advertisements of the High Times magazine, and it was this little unit that you would grow weed in. It had all fluorescence. It looked like a hectagon. It was round, and it had lights all the way around. You grew your plant right in the middle of it. Does any of you guys remember that?
I think I might. That does sound familiar.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I just saw one on, I think it was Dude Grow Show or something like that. They were showing a throwback to somebody that had gotten one from way back when, and it was like the biggest, hottest thing.
Oh my god, it was, bro.
Era and stuff,
That was like growing indoor, bro. That was like you were like, if you got yourself a Phototron back then, it was like the kid that got himself the Nintendo back then. You know what I mean? And like I had Nintendo, dude. I had the fucking Phototron. I was fucking, dude. I was the cool kid on the block that had the fucking light system. You know what I mean? I was like, only everybody else was growing outdoor, but I got the Phototron. You know what I mean? It was fucking dope, dude. But it didn't grow very well, but it was still cool to grow indoor. That was like my first attempt at growing indoor. Was the Phototron, and it was an all fluorescent, badass little fucking thing. But yeah, man, do you guys keep going? Are you guys cool, or are we good?
Actually, I was just about to jump in and say we should probably think about shutting her down for the day. We're got over 3.5 hours in, and the weekends are when I get my daughter, so I should probably go and spend some time.
Oh yeah, man, no worries. Good conversation. Didn't expect to speak 3 hours. You know, I can't even fucking believe that just actually happened. You guys made it fun. And
like I told you, we try not to format too hard. Like we shoot for about 2.5 hours, but we hate to have the time limit cap on there because there's times where, man, the information keeps coming and you just don't want to shut that valve off.
That was all good info. You know what I mean? That was all really good info. Stuff that I have on 24/7, and you know what I mean, on stuff like Future Cannabis Project or some of those shows that, you know what I mean, that go on a little bit more on in depth on stuff. And you totally nailed it, man, because you didn't find one little topic, you know what I mean, to talk about. You talked about a little bit about everything, about the early days in the game to what it takes to actually nail a line down. You know what I mean?
Wow. That's awesome, man. Good feedback, guys. Good fucking times, man, too. And I'm still high as fuck, so that weed is pretty good. And I'm really grateful for this time, guys. I really, really am. I feel like the energy was right. I felt like you got me early in the morning. I felt like the vibe was perfect. We did talk about a lot of cool shit. I fucking loved it, bro. It was awesome. Thank you.
All right. Once again, thanks for coming on, man. And come on back again, please do. Like I said, I think I think we could just have a lot of really good, more future discussions about more than just breeding. That's what I'm all hot and horny for to talk about myself. But man, we've covered a big gamut of shit today, and we can do it again with the big smiles on our faces.
Right on, guys. Pleasure to meet you both again.
It's awesome
and work with you.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
All right, you too, brother. Thanks for coming on. It was great meeting you, and everyone else in chat. We absolutely love you guys. You guys are kick-ass, and we'll shout out Hypothetical Gardener, White Widow, Canada's Finest, Raider Dank Vader, and Stony Rockefeller as our Patreon contributors. And an extra special shout out to Stony, because it was Stony that put us in touch with Old School Chronic. And yeah, it's just been a great fucking show.
Stony's badass, dude. I might see him tomorrow.
Oh yeah, right on.
It's always fun seeing him.
yeah, I can't wait.
Thank you, Stony. Appreciate that, brother.
And
for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it. Everybody, you have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all Tuesday night. We got Yuma fucking Hans gonna join us for a bullshit session. I'm fucking stoked about that. Just based on his name alone, I think he's fucking top-notch fucking people. And then you see his grows, and you actually talk to him a bit, and you're like, yeah, I think this supports my previously held opinions of him. So it's gonna be a good time. Once again, Old School Chronic. We'll catch you next time. Thanks again. Great show, and please come on back.
Okay, I will. I definitely will, guys. Definitely a pleasure. And again, we'll have a blessed weekend, and we'll catch up soon.
Yes, you betcha, man. All right everybody.
All right.